Chapter 8:19, Earth's Apocalypse. Oh! Biluo was stunned. She shifted her gaze away from the cup of tea in her hand and placed it on Wang Ting. They were from outer space. How did Wang Ting know their identity? Was he trying to bluff them? Or did he have other methods? Many thoughts flashed through her mind. She blinked and saw the two aliens standing behind Wang Ting, feeling astonished in her heart. You guys seem a little unfamiliar. May I know which universe you came from? Jin Yuan and Haddock stood behind Wang Ting obediently the entire time as if he was their leader. These two alien martial warriors were willing to bow down to a martial warrior from Earth. This provided much food for thought. Jin Yuan and Haddock glanced at Wang Ting. Noticing his lack of response, they chuckled and replied, "We don't dare to compare ourselves with you. We're just ordinary talents who hail from small families." Jin Yuan and Haddock were sly old foxes. They would never tell Biluo that they had escaped from an abandoned star. Anyone that has the right to participate in this trial is the cream of the crop. Biluo smiled and said some words of compliment. No one knew if she truly believed their words. They hadn't lowered their voices. The other alien candidates were all at the planetary stage, so they naturally heard everything. Everyone was guessing the relationship between Wang Ting, Haddock, and Jin Yuan. Many people were surprised when they saw two candidates following Wang Ting. It wasn't a unique case. Some candidates in the past chose to follow other powerful candidates when they felt that they had no hope of passing the trial. However, it was a rare occurrence. These candidates were all gifted martial warriors. They were prideful and arrogant and would never submit to others easily. Hence, at this moment, besides the 5 famous talents, the other candidates grew more fearful of Wang Ting. Beijiang, country Xia. A group of war correspondents risked their lives and came to the military camp stationed in this place by country Xia. The leader was a handsome young lady around 30 wearing a military uniform. She was a reputable news reporter from country Xia. A general stage martial warrior from the Beijiang military camp came to welcome these war correspondents personally. "Reporter Jin, I didn't know you were coming." The general stage martial warrior seemed a little tired as he shook hands with the reporter. "The leader asked me to come. He wants me to represent the government and reveal the situation here to the public," Jinping replied with a grave expression. "Are we really going to do this? If the situation here is made known to everyone, it will cause a huge panic." Chief Commander Chen frowned. "There's no better way. It's impossible to conceal this matter now. Everyone has the right to know." "All right, my thoughts were too simple. I'm still stuck in the past. Go ahead, and report it." Chief Commander Chen sighed and shook his head sadly. "Chief Commander Chen, don't blame yourself. No one expected things to turn out this way. The change was sudden and caught us all off guard," Jinping consoled him. She asked the camera crew behind her to aim their lens at the sky. The entire sky was enveloped with dark clouds, forming a terrifying vortex. Thick silver-white bolts of lightning flashed occasionally. It was like a scene from the end of the world. Ferocious and hideous faces of dark apparitions could be seen faintly amidst the dark clouds. They screamed and roared in a shrill and bitter voice. It was bone-chilling. This image was sent to the entire nation through the internet. Many people knew about this live broadcast, so they were waiting for it in front of their computers and televisions. When the images appeared, the viewers' breaths got stuck. Despair, fear, panic. Multiple emotions crashed into everyone's hearts. Dark apparitions. Were these the dark apparitions? Such a frightening presence had appeared on Earth. Was this the doom of their planet? Country Xia wasn't the only one. The dimensional rifts in the North Sea continent and the South Sea continent were being broadcasted by the governments simultaneously. None of the higher authorities of any country planned to contain this information. The world was already in a mess after the Star Beast riot. Some things couldn't be kept a secret anymore. Thus, in this instant, everyone on this planet knew about the invasion of the dark apparitions. There was a large-scale uproar. Countless humans sunk into despair and trepidation. The Star Beast riots had only ended recently. Some areas were still suffering from the impact and were fighting with the remnant Star Beasts. Yet, An even more frightening crisis awaited them. How were the humans supposed to resist? At the same time, what happened in the central continent gradually spread around the world. A gamble. The humans were having a gamble with the dark apparitions. This battle would affect the survival of Earth. If the humans succeeded, there would be hope. If they failed, they would become part of history. This chapter of history might be dug up by a new civilization thousands of years later and they might study it. What a sorrowful ending. Time passed slowly. The dark apparitions did not appear on the central continent. But many general stage martial warriors from various countries had arrived after receiving the news. The higher authorities of the various nations only dared to act after the alien candidates left. General stage martial warriors from Country Inca, Country Star, the White Eagle Nation, Country Boar, and many other countries reached the scene. Intelligence battlecraft developed by the different nations floated in mid-air, looking at the central continent from a distance. They didn't dare to go closer, so they could only watch from afar. The leader of martial arts and other generals were gathered in a round hall in their battlecraft. The screen in the middle was showing a bird's-eye view of the central continent. I didn't know there were so many alien candidates. The leader's eyes were glowing. He said with a stern face, if it wasn't for the dark apparitions, they wouldn't have gathered together. They are all planetary stage martial warriors. They can destroy Earth if they want to, Commander Hong said gravely. Will the central continent sink if we let them hold the jewel here? Commander Yong gave a forced smile. Silence. Everyone was shocked. Their expressions changed slightly. This was possible. These planetary stage martial warriors had the ability to do it. They could decide if they wanted to sink this land. Send the image here back to the country too, the leader of martial arts gave his order. Everyone hesitated. This is Earth's catastrophe. Everyone should witness it with their own eyes, the leader explained. Yes, the martial warriors replied in unison. They stopped hesitating and sent the image back to country Shia. Almost at the same second, the general stage martial warriors from the other countries made the same decision. The situation here was revealed to the rest of the world. Time passed again. Amidst many people's anxiousness, 3 days passed. At noon, the sky more than 10 kilometers away from the central continent suddenly darkened. Darkness dawned from 3 directions. It appeared at the same time and swarmed down from the sky as if swallowing them. It quickly flowed towards the central continent. They are here. These 2 words appeared in everyone's mind. Alien candidates stood on top of their spacecraft one by one. They stared at the darkness in the distance with grim expressions. Chapter 8:20. A friend from afar must be killed regardless of the distance. Dark clouds tumbled and spread out in the sky, covering the sun and every inch of light available. The light had been swallowed entirely. Wherever the dark clouds went, the light was completely cut off. Only darkness remained. After some time, the dark clouds arrived above the central continent at a visible speed, covering the area where Wang Teng was at first. Within a few seconds, the darkness shrouded the entire central continent. All the star beasts in the central continent lost their voice. They hid in their caves or lay prone on the ground, shivering in extreme fear. Oh my, so many people came. Frivolous peals of laughter shot out from the dark clouds. All the alien candidates looked up. They saw a figure appearing below the dark clouds out of thin air. It was a black skeleton with green flames jumping around in its eye sockets. It was smiling brightly at the people below. That's right, it was smiling brightly. It was a skeleton, so there wasn't any expression on its skull, but for some reason, everyone could sense that this was an indecent skeleton. Hey, you brought many little sidekicks too. While everyone was sizing up this black skeleton, a cynical voice rang out and disrupted the tranquility. Silence. The crowd turned in the direction of the voice. Their gazes landed on Wang Ting in the end. For some reason, this fellow gave off the same vibe as the skeleton. They would have thought that they were brothers if they weren't a human and a skeleton. Wait, did he say 2? Little sidekicks. Putting 2 and 2 together. F***K, what did he mean? Was he treating them as little sidekicks? The alien candidates were infuriated. If looks could kill, Wang Ting would have been mutilated by these alien martial warriors. Wu Jiyu looked at Wang Ting. This was the human he recognized as his archenemy. The flames in his eyes started flickering. Haha, we are the same. There are so many people, so we need to resign the spiritual contract. Wang Ting went straight to the point without any bullshit. No problem. Wu Jiyu glanced around him. He was exceptionally easy to talk to today. He waved his hand and said, "Little ones, time to greet our guests." Tilda. The dark clouds tossed and turned, revealing the figures inside. These figures were all exceptionally powerful. They seemed even more tall and majestic as they stood among the dark clouds like gods from hell. A terrifying aura exuded from their bodies. "Wu Jiyu, do you want to die?" A cold voice came out from one of the devil lords. He looked like a devil that had stepped out from the mythology. He was lofty and bulky. The muscles on his body bulged out like pitch-black rocks. He was a long-toothed man with a livid face. His expression was hideous, and he had a pair of sharp horns on his head. They looked like ram's horns with a little curl at the edge. A pair of flesh wings stuck on his back. He didn't spread them out, yet they were still huge. This devil lord looked like the sheephead dark apparition Wang Ting saw in the past. But this devil lord had better configurations. Haha, don't get mad. I'm just joking. Wu Jiyu shrunk his neck and smiled at the devil lord in embarrassment. Alright, stop the nonsense and take out the contract. You can start the duel after signing it. I'm already getting impatient. I want to get a taste of these talents' blood. Another devil lord spoke up. His face was white, but he was extremely handsome. He had long black hair, looking like a noble of the dark apparitions. Alright, here it is. Wu Jiyu took out the spiritual contract they had signed the previous time and threw it to the devil lords. The spiritual contract opened automatically in mid-air. The devil lords slit their fingers casually and signed their names on the scroll with a wave of their hands. The scroll flew down to the alien candidates. The alien candidates, including the top talents like Argus, Kathu, and Biluo, signed their names without any hesitation. They were similar in their attitudes towards the dark apparitions. They would fight for their lives. Wang Ting's gaze shimmered when he saw this scene. It looked like dark apparitions existed in other parts of the universe too. This was why the alien martial warriors weren't surprised when they saw them and even chose to face them together. This was good. He didn't have to worry about anyone creating trouble. In the current circumstances, he needed to rely on the strength of these alien candidates if he wanted to save Earth. Wang Ting opened his mouth excitedly after everyone had signed the contract. Come, let's start. I can't wait. Silence. Everyone glared at Wang Ting as if he were an idiot. They had countless complaints pent up in their hearts that they didn't know how to express. Was this guy mad? These were dark apparitions. It wasn't hard to guess how tragic and intense the battle would be. However, this brat was getting all excited like it wasn't even a huge thing. Hihi, let's get started. Wu Jiyu let out a weird laugh and looked at the devil lords behind him. Who wants to play first? I'll go. An enormous giant apparition who was almost 5 meters tall came out, speaking with a thick, thunderous voice. Wow, what a huge one. Wang Ting took a step back and looked at the alien candidates with a frightened expression. This guy seems so strong. One look and I know that I can't beat him. Does anyone want to go? Silence. It was so easy and natural for him to utter those words. How shameless was he? Furthermore, this duel was decided by him and the dark apparitions. If he couldn't beat them, why did he even do that? Coward. All the alien candidates couldn't wait to kill Wang Ting right now. Don't just stand there. A friend from afar must be killed regardless of the distance. Wang Ting saw that no one was reacting and continued to talk. Everyone. What was he even saying? The alien candidates were stunned and speechless. But when they heard those words, they felt that it made a bit of sense. However, they didn't dare to let Wang Ting continue embarrassing them. An impatient alien candidate snorted and glanced at Wang Ting contemptuously. He stepped out with a sword in his hand, pointing it directly at the giant apparition Devil Lord. "I'll fight you." Without another word, the candidate and the dark apparition charged toward one another. Kill. The giant apparition Devil Lord was armed with a huge pole. With a black streak of light, he slammed it forward. The alien candidate was fearless. He condensed a terrifying glow on his sword and slashed straight out. Boom. 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 The battle broke out in the sky. There were streaks of black and yellow clashing against each other, producing a violent roar that resounded in all directions. The terrifying aftermath of the force swept across the surroundings, destroying the trees and peaks in the forest below. The land quaked as if the doomsday was here. Boom. After a few minutes, the yellow ball of light suddenly shattered, and the alien candidate flew out while vomiting blood. He looked pale as he almost slammed onto the ground. Chapter 821, Planetary Stage Spirit. 1. They lost. An alien candidate lost so quickly, the other candidates turned grim and started to treat the dark apparitions with more importance. "Wow, good job." Wu Jiyu chuckled. The giant Devil Lord glanced at Wu Jiyu from the corner of his eyes and snorted. Then, he disappeared again. "Be careful," some martial warriors shouted hurriedly. Their expressions changed slightly. The alien candidate was appalled. He retreated immediately without much thought. But it was already too late. The giant Devil Lord appeared in front of him almost immediately. The shadow of the enormous rod-shaped weapon bore down on the alien candidate. The candidate's pupils narrowed. He gave an angry roar involuntarily and released all the force in his body. Boom. The giant Devil Lord was using his full power. On the other hand, the alien candidate had put up a hasty defense, which shattered almost instantly. He couldn't even last a second. Then, the rod-shaped weapon landed on the candidate's head. Splurt. His head was smashed like a watermelon. Red blood and white matter splattered everywhere, leaving a headless body plummeting to the ground. Silence. There was an eerie silence. The battle started a few moments ago, but a planetary stage formidable warrior had already been killed. Many people stared at the Devil Lord in bewilderment. Fear and dread appeared in their eyes uncontrollably. This scene was shown to the martial warriors from the different countries through the monitors. Everyone was at a loss for words. The powerful aliens couldn't beat the dark apparitions either. Their expressions were ugly, and they were in extremely low spirits. Human talents are disappointing. The giant Devil Lord glanced around him indifferently while holding his weapon that was still dripping blood. Many alien candidates were infuriated. They glared at the giant Devil Lord. The 5 great stars of the universe turned serious. Fierce killing intent burned in their eyes. Dark apparitions must be killed. Everyone, let's attack together. Argus didn't waste any time. He looked around him as he opened his mouth. As soon as he finished his sentence, he vanished, charging toward the giant Devil Lord. He left a trail of dazzling golden light behind him as he shot out like a sharp arrow. The giant Devil Lord squinted. His eyes glowed with the wildness of bloodlust, and the corners of his lips curled into a sinister smile. Boom. The next second, they collided. Impact waves swept through the air. Argus stood in front of the giant Devil Lord. His golden hair danced in the air, and his body was bathed in a golden aura. He looked like an immortal. He didn't use any weapon, only relying on his fist. He punched the giant Devil Lord. Bang, bang, bang. The giant Devil Lord was forced to move back while fresh blood trickled down the edge of his lips. Fist marks appeared on his tough body one by one. It was horrifying. Roar. He released an angry bellow. His eyes turned bloodshot, and he stopped moving back. Instead, he raised the huge rod-shaped weapon and swung it at Argus. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. By the time everyone regained their senses, Argus and the giant Devil Lord were locked in a fierce fight. Ha ha ha, kill. Cathu laughed when he saw Argus acting first. His voice was rough and loud. A dense pillar of red light shot into the air, forming the shape of a ferocious crimson star beast. Roar. The crimson star beast roared into the sky. Then, it dashed into Cathu's muscular body. Boom. In that instant, Cathu seemed to have turned into the crimson beast. He bolted towards the Devil Lords with gusto. He was indeed bold. It suited his style, fearless and invincible. "Come, have a great time with your grandfather," Cathu shouted. He raised his large axe and released a terrifying crimson axe glow into the air. He didn't care who he hit. When he saw a Devil Lord, he would attack. He was like a beast that went berserk. "How dare you!" The sheephead Devil Lord screamed in anger. Malicious killing intent shot out of his eyes as he charged toward Cathu. He was holding a weapon that was shaped like a sickle. When he swung it, it created a black ray of light. Boom! The crimson axe glow crashed into the black blade glow. The deadlock lasted for 3 seconds before breaking apart simultaneously. Cathu and the sheephead Devil Lord zoomed out from the residual impact and started battling with each other. The other alien candidates didn't hesitate either and acted at almost the same time. They chose a Devil Lord and started fighting. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the sky was filled with raging battles. Explosions sounded continuously, shaking heaven and earth. Frightening force glows erupted in all directions, and powerful attacks destroyed the mountains and the trees around them. Some distance away, Loggins was battling with a Devil Lord. They smashed into a mountain, which cracked into pieces. Only half of it was left. Pullin floated on the right. A green glow full of vitality was exuding out of his body as he fought with the Devil Lord called Phantasma. With a wave of his hand, the green force glow gathered into multiple vines. They shot toward Phantasma and attempted to bind him. However, Phantasma was extremely mysterious. He was shrouded in a mist, so no one could see his body. The vines went through his body, catching nothing. On the other side, Biluo met Black Incubus. Biluo's long green hair flowed down her shoulders and her beautiful face. Black Incubus Devil Lord looked great too. She had purple curly hair, and her figure was amazing. They were both perfect. 1. Chapter 822, Planetary Realm Spirit. 2. The two peerless beauties glared at each other without concealing the killing intent in their hearts. Boom! The next instant, both of them vanished and clashed against each other. While everyone was engaged in a deadly battle, Wang Ting was staring at the area where the candidate's corpse was lying. Several dazzling attribute bubbles were floating there. Attributes from a planetary stage warrior. Good stuff. Wang Ting hurriedly picked them up. Constellation Force, Earth, * 1800 Imperial Realm Spirit * 120 Imperial Realm Enlightenment * 108 Common Universal Language * 300 Ultimate Stage Earth Talent * 360 Not bad, not bad. It's another wave of loot. Feeling a little sorry, Wang Teng proceeded to collect the attribute bubbles. His Constellation Earth Force skyrocketed in an instant. Constellation Earth Force, 2795 10,000, Planetary Stage First Level. Next was the Imperial Realm Spirit. As the attribute bubbles merged into his body, Wang Teng's mind suddenly shook. There was a storm in his consciousness. A breakthrough in his spiritual power. Wang Teng's spiritual power was already close to the peak of the Imperial Realm. In addition, he had recently gained the Imperial Realm Spirit attributes multiple times. Naturally, it would improve rapidly. Before he knew it, his spiritual power stepped over the threshold. Boom! In Wang Ting's sea of consciousness, there were thunderous sounds, and the terrifying spiritual power rolled inside it as if it was forming a vortex. Waves of spiritual power swirled continuously, condensing towards the center. It seemed as if the spiritual power was undergoing training. It went through an incredible transformation, leaping from its original realm and entering a higher level. The changes in his consciousness seemed slow, but in reality, they happened within a few minutes. Wang Ting's spiritual power condensed into a single point in his consciousness, leaving only a small, bright light. Then that spot suddenly burst into glaring light. Boom! In an instant, an indomitable spiritual power erupted, circling within Wang Ting's consciousness as if declaring ownership of this territory. A sphere of spiritual power was suspended in his consciousness. Planetary Realm Spirit. Spirit, 110,000, Planetary Realm. At this moment, Wang Teng was enlightened. Spirit and martial arts were the same. Before the Imperial Realm, they were called the Planetary Disciple Realm. After that, it would be the Planetary Realm, Celestial Realm. Wang Ting's spirit had now reached the Planetary Realm. It was a whole new level, which was several times stronger than the Imperial Realm. Ordinary planetary stage warriors would not be able to achieve this feat. Only celestial stage warriors usually attained the Planetary Realm spirit before advancing. In other words, Wang Teng's spirit was equivalent to a celestial stage warrior's spirit. If only his spirit had reached the Planetary Realm, it wouldn't mean anything. It only signified that he was better than others in certain aspects, such as spiritual perception and consciousness. However, Wang Teng was a divine spirit master and possessed spiritual power. Spirit encompassed spiritual power and consciousness. As one's spirit realm moved up a level, one's spiritual power would naturally increase. An ordinary planetary stage martial warrior would not be able to fend against planetary realm spiritual power. Wang Teng felt that if he used his spiritual power to maneuver weapons now, he could instantly kill almost everyone below the planetary stage 5 stars. As for warriors stronger than that, he could put up a fight with them. Wang Ting was overjoyed. Originally, he thought that he would have to rely on his space physique to fight against the dark apparitions. He didn't expect to have another trump card. Just as he was about to withdraw his gaze from the attributes panel, his gaze suddenly stopped. There was a change in origin of soul. It had increased from 1256 points to 5030 point. Wang Ting was in deep thought. Spirit, soul, both seemed to be the same thing. Did origin of soul attributes increase along with the spirit attribute? He suddenly remembered that when the origin of soul attribute was increased in the past, his spirit attribute had followed suit. Apparently so. Wang Ting's gaze stayed on the first and second columns of the attributes panel. Origin of life and origin of soul. These were the most important things of the body. One represented the flesh, while the other represented the soul, and both would constitute a complete living body. As Wang Ting improved his martial arts and spirit, these two origins grew as well. He seemed to understand something. These two origins must progress together. He mustn't tilt the scale to one side too much. Somehow, he felt the importance of these two origins. Thoughts flashed through his mind. Wang Teng looked at the changes in his other three attributes. He had gained 108 points of Imperial Realm Enlightenment, raising it to the peak of the Imperial Realm. He was not far away from breaking through. The concept of enlightenment was a little hard to grasp, but one must have it. If not, they would be an idiot. Wang Teng would be entering the universe and fighting with the other universe talents. He mustn't let his enlightenment fall behind. Besides this, he also gained the ultimate stage Earth talent and the common universal language attributes. Honestly, ever since his ice talent reached the Emperor level, Wang Teng didn't like ultimate stage talents anymore. It was easier to get rich and harder to go back to poverty. However, if he wanted to reach the Emperor level, he needed to max out his ultimate stage talents or wait for Emperor level attribute bubbles to drop. The common universal language was quite useful. It was prevalent in the universe, so he would be able to converse with other people normally. As he collected more and more attribute bubbles, his grasp of the common universal language got better. Common universal language, 12-1000, small achievement. Wang Teng pulled his attention away from the attributes panel and looked at the jewels around him. I should do some exercise too. He scanned his surroundings and finally fixed his gaze on a heated battle. The talent of the Emerald Abyss Galaxy, Biluo, was fighting with Black Incubus. Wang Teng swore that his intention wasn't to gaze at beauties. He just wanted to settle some accounts with this old acquaintance of his. Black Incubus had created a few clones and surrounded Biluo. 8 similar Black Incubuses circled Biluo, making it hard for her to find her true form. Biluo's brows were locked in a tight frown. She held her sword, and multiple glows erupted from the blade. It twirled around her like a whirlpool. But she was still unable to hit the true form of Black Incubus. Damn it, why does this Devil Lord possess such a strange cloning skill? I can't figure out which is the real one. I need to find it soon. There was no expression on her face, but her mind was running in 6th gear. Do you need my help? Wang Ting asked with a smile, appearing outside the battle circle. Can you find her true form? Biluo's gaze flickered. I will only know after I try, Wang Ting said casually. Why are you standing there then? Biluo rolled her eyes. Why don't you ask me nicely? If not, I have no reason to help you, Wang Ting shrugged and said helplessly. Biluo felt her head throbbing. Why do such weirdos exist? This fellow is an idiot. What on earth is he thinking? Even in this critical situation, he still has the heart to make a joke. Damn it, I feel like beating him. Quick, don't waste any time. Biluo frowned. There's no relationship between us, and you're the invaders. If you don't do it nicely, I can't convince myself to help you. Wang Ting wasn't moved. His tone remained calm as he spoke righteously. Silence. Biluo was helpless. Wang Ting was right, but she had a hunch something was missing. Black Incubus felt a little anxious as she looked at Wang Ting. Could he really find her true form? No, she must defeat her opponent soon. She couldn't let that fellow act. Recalling Wang Ting's history, a bad feeling swarmed into Black Incubus' heart. She stopped wasting time and controlled all her clones to move forward. A thick black glow exploded from their bodies and merged into sharp black blades, slashing at Biluo. Chapter 823, Stubbornness. Biluo's expression changed slightly. She didn't dare to be careless. Her sword conscious billowed out, forming an impenetrable defense around her. She was the renowned martial arts talent of the Emerald Abyss Galaxy. Ask for help. That would never happen. She might treat Wang Ting politely, but in her heart, she more or less looked down on this martial warrior from Earth. Some things couldn't be erased with a few sentences. Foundation. The foundation of Earth couldn't be compared to the Olant Federation's at all. The difference was wide as a chasm. It was like a noble lady from the upper-class society meeting a beggar from the slums. No matter how outstanding the beggar was, the noble lady would never place him at the same level as her. This was impossible. Wang Ting didn't get impatient even though Biluo didn't beg him for help. He just smiled and watched them from the side. He understood what these alien candidates were thinking. They were a bunch of arrogant and conceited fellows. Their arrogance made them look down on martial warriors from Earth. They thought they were high and mighty and above all beings on this underdeveloped planet. So what? Wang Ting would step on the dignity of these talents and rub it on the ground. They looked down on Earthlings, right? Well, he would crumble and destroy their pride. If the dark apparitions hadn't invaded them, Wang Ting would have looked for the alien candidates and defeated them one by one. Since these talents placed so much importance on this trial, he would turn their trial into nothing. This was the real revenge. Wang Ting was a true blue Earthling. He had deep feelings toward his homeland. These alien candidates descended on his planet as invaders and treated this place as their trial ground as if it was a hunting ground for opportunities. As an Earthling, he couldn't accept this. He mustn't accept it. He would take revenge. At this moment, Black Incubus 8 clones surrounded Biluo in all directions and slashed a black blade glow in the air. Die! An angry scream came out of her mouth. It was filled with ruthless killing intent. She knew better than Biluo how scary Wang Ting was. Before he reached the general stage, he could already force her into a miserable state, much less now. No one should underestimate this fellow. Biluo's expression turned grim. She realized that all the 8-blade attacks were real. They weren't illusions. How was this possible? She was in disbelief. Since not all the 8 clones were real, how could they release 8 real attacks at the same time? This didn't make sense. Biluo turned serious. Even as an outstanding talent, she had to remain cautious in front of 8 mighty blows from a Devil Lord. The constellation force in her body churned violently. It turned into numerous sword glows and merged into the defense shield around her, protecting her from all corners. Boom! Just as she completed her move, the 8 black glows fell on her. The black force glow and the green force glow exploded when they met, engulfing Biluo completely. No one could see what was happening inside. Powerful force impact echoed in their surroundings. A large patch of sky-towering trees collapsed, throwing dust and soil into the sky. Black Incubus stared intently at the center of the explosion. Suddenly, her expression changed. A figure shot out from the center. Her long green hair was a little messy, and her clothes were torn and tattered. Blood dripped down from the corner of her lips. Many alien candidates turned pale when they saw this scene. Biluo was one of the 5 great stars, who were the most powerful and famous candidates in this trial. Yet she was at a disadvantage when she fought with a devil lord. "You're not dead." A sharp glint flashed in Black Incubus' eyes. She was shocked. "You don't have the power to kill me." Biluo might look a little disheveled, but her expression didn't change. She had her pride as a top talent of her generation. Even if she couldn't win, she mustn't lose her dignity. Constellation Force, Wood, *800 Constellation Force, Dark, *950 Darkness Clone Technique *360 Wang Ting happily picked up the attribute bubbles at the side. Then, he looked at Biluo and gloated in her misery. "Are you all right? If you can't handle it, you can seek my help. Don't be so stubborn." Silence. To hell with being so stubborn. The corners of Biluo's eyes twitched slightly, and she almost couldn't maintain her expression. This stupid bastard. How could he make such irresponsible and sarcastic remarks? She glared at him from the corner of her eyes. "Go and die. How heartless. We're old friends, but you're helping this lady to kill me." Black Incubus winked seductively at Wang Teng, pretending to be heartbroken. Oh, Wang Teng was stunned. He stared at Black Incubus in astonishment. Black Incubus might look beautiful, but Wang Teng still remembered her devil transformation. It was etched deep in his mind. Whenever he recalled the assembly of decayed flesh, his hair would stand on ends. It was so disgusting. Sob. However, Biluo didn't know anything. She turned and looked at Wang Ting in astonishment. This fellow had a relationship with this dark apparition. Although love between different races was touching, she had to admit that Wang Ting had a unique taste. You can never judge a book by its cover. F***K, what does that expression mean? Wang Ting was infuriated. This lady thought that he had some weird relationship with this female dark apparition. He couldn't bear it. Are all ladies so dirty? Boom. Right then, Black Incubus vanished. She took the chance when Wang Ting and Biluo were distracted to launch her attack. She wanted to kill Biluo as soon as possible. She felt helpless even though she was a devil lord. This was too difficult. She felt ill at ease because Wang Ting was eyeing her as if she was his prey. Fortunately, Wang Ting never went by the script. If the two humans worked together, she could only run away. She needed to finish this lady before he decided to act. Boom. Biluo had been vigilant of Black Incubus all this while. Seeing her attack, she moved too. The human and the dark apparition turned into 2 lingering shadows as they collided fervently in the air. TSK, women are so brutal when they're fighting, Wang Ting clicked his tongue as he exclaimed. He raised his head, touching his chin as he watched them. Biluo was one of the most outstanding geniuses of the Emerald Abyss Galaxy. She was extremely powerful. When she got serious, she was on par with Black Incubus and even inflicted some serious injuries on her. Boom. Splurt. Splurt. They crashed into each other again and got thrown back. Their hair was in a mess, and they were vomiting blood. They looked like 2 lunatics. Roar. Black Incubus suddenly gave an ear-piercing roar. A thick black glow erupted from her body and started expanding like a black heart palpitating furiously. 1. Chapter 824. What are you looking at? If you continue looking, I'll eat. Fut. Black Incubus' body puffed up like a balloon, emitting intense black light. It looked like a black sun. This sudden change attracted everyone's attention. Devil transformation. A devil lord had executed the terrifying devil transformation. Mind you, devil transformation was a special skill that devil lords possessed. The devil transformation of every devil lord was different. But there was one similarity. They were all powerful and frightening. Of course, devil transformation wasn't something they could execute whenever they felt like it. Not many dark apparitions were willing to use this skill unless they were forced into a tight corner. The devil lords in the area were astounded. All of them turned and looked at Black Incubus. Wow, Black Incubus executed her devil transformation. The green ghost flames in Wu Gusai's sockets jumped violently. He moved his jaws and made a weird sound. What is she doing? That human lady didn't have the power to force her to this stage. A vampire devil lord frowned. Idiot. The sheep-head devil lord scoffed. The other devil lords wore different expressions on their faces. Some sneered, some frowned. These dark apparitions weren't as harmonious as they seemed. They didn't know that Wang Ting was the reason why Black Incubus executed her devil transformation so quickly. Yes, it was that simple. There were no other reasons. They didn't understand Black Incubus' plight. Wang Ting stood at the side without doing anything, but it gave her immense mental pressure. Hence, she decided to unleash her devil transformation. Of course, another reason was that Biluo's ability was on par with her. She couldn't take her down easily, so she had to do this. Oh my, devil transformation! Wang Ting looked up and exclaimed in surprise. This was the third devil transformation he saw. The first time was this Black Incubus Devil Lord and the second time was Devil Lord Kai Yang. That fellow was still in Wang Ting's space fragment. He had to suffer the burn from 3 divine fires continuously. This pain was worse than being imprisoned under Mount Saint. At that time, he was only tormented by 1 divine fire. Now, there was the flame of light, the emerald glazed flame, and the dark flame. One could imagine how painful it was. The third time also belonged to Black Incubus. However, Wang Ting wasn't who he was in the past anymore. He wasn't a newbie who hadn't even reached the general stage. He was already a planetary stage martial warrior. No matter how powerful Black Incubus Devil transformation was, she wouldn't exceed the 5th level planetary stage. Hence, Wang Ting could still wreck her. Biluo saw this scene, and her face turned grim. These aliens were extremely familiar with the dark apparitions. They didn't just exist on Earth. There were signs of dark apparitions everywhere in the universe. It seemed that there were records of dark apparitions ever since the birth of the universe and the existence of civilizations. Naturally, there were many records of battle experiences with the dark apparitions over the centuries. Hence, there was detailed data on the devil transformation. Biluo understood how scary it was. At this moment, the glaring black light retracted, revealing the current appearance of Black Incubus. Her body had expanded greatly. She looked like a mashed-up ball of rotten flesh, which was squirming with flesh whiskers hanging down and flying in the air. The thin purple long hair turned as thick as a giant python. It danced wildly. A pair of sharp horns grew out from it. It gave off an eerie and sharp glint. Numerous blood-red eyeballs were etched in the flesh. They looked evil and ghastly. Raw. She opened her giant mouth, revealing her sharp teeth that looked like a sawtooth. Saliva dripped down uncontrollably as she gave a loud roar that sounded neither human nor beastly. Wang Ting realized that Black Incubus' appearance was a little different from before. She didn't have so many eyeballs in the past. These eyeballs were scattered around Black Incubus' body. Anyone with trypophobia would probably shudder in fear and pee on the spot if they saw her. What the F***K, she transformed. Wang Ting was startled as he muttered to himself. Black Incubus twirled her pupils as if she had noticed Wang Ting's gaze. Her numerous eyeballs stopped on him in unison. Her eyeballs were bloodshot and filled with chaos, evil, distortion, indifference, bitterness, and various negative emotions. Boom. As the eyeballs turned, a savage spiritual fluctuation surged out and penetrated right into Wang Ting's mind. Wang Ting snorted. A look of disdain flashed in his eyes. His spirit was at the planetary realm. This spiritual fluctuation might be chaotic, but it was only at the imperial realm. Black Incubus was embarrassing herself when she tried to use her imperial realm spirit to affect him. Boom. Instantly, in Wang Ting's consciousness, his vast and terrifying spiritual power turned into numerous bolts of lightning and struck down. It was like the punishment from heaven. The chaotic spiritual power was destroyed in an instant and turned into pure attribute bubbles. Wang Ting absorbed them all. Imperial Realm Spirit *360. Unfortunately, He was already at the planetary realm, so these 360 points of Imperial Realm Spirit were only 36 points of planetary realm spirit to him. But it was still the first spirit attribute bubble he received after his advancement. It was worth mentioning. Not bad, Black Incubus did make some contributions. He should kill her quickly later and prevent her from suffering too much. Of course, he would get all he could out of her first. Wang Teng squinted. Many thoughts went through his mind. Black Incubus shuddered for some reason. Raw. At the same time, she felt that wisp of spiritual power disintegrating. Her countless pupils narrowed as they stared at Wang Teng simultaneously. Wang Teng wasn't afraid, but the eyeballs were horrifying. He glared at them. What are you looking at? If you continue looking, I'll I'll beat you up. F***K. He almost said the wrong thing. Black Incubus looked disgusting. He felt nauseous just looking at her. Eat her? That was too challenging. Black Incubus. Silence. Biluo stared at Wang Teng in bewilderment. You almost exposed yourself. Are you still saying that you have no relationship with her? Go away. Wang Teng glared at her, feeling irritated by her gaze. Raw. Black Incubus knew that Wang Teng wasn't easy to deal with. She stopped testing him and rushed towards Biluo instead. The horrendous body was like a ball of flesh. It opened its sharp teeth and wanted to swallow Biluo. F***K. Biluo cursed uncontrollably. This Black Incubus Devil Lord was the perfect example of bullying the weak and fearing the strong. She couldn't beat Wang Teng, so she attacked her. Shameless. Do you think him easy to bully? Biluo was infuriated too. Her face turned cold, and a dazzling ball of white light erupted from her body. Light Force. She possessed the Light Force. Chapter 825, Goddess of Light Mode. Light Force. The sudden appearance of Light Force astounded everyone. Especially the dark apparitions. Light Force was their nemesis as it could restrain their dark force. They were like the day and night, complete opposites. No one expected Light Force to appear here. Moreover, it came from a talent from the universe. All the Devil Lord's gazes landed on Biluo. What kind of gaze was that? They wanted to skin her alive and tear her into pieces. All along, the dark apparitions had only one rule towards the possessors of Light Force. Kill them. They would kill them before these martial warriors could grow up. Every martial warrior who possessed Light Force was a huge threat to the dark apparitions. They would never allow them to grow powerful. Argus, Kathu, and the other alien candidates turned their heads too. They were also astounded by the fact that Biluo possessed Light Force. Light Force was rare. Not many people had it. Biluo's Light Force was more powerful than the Wood Force she had been using all this while. That meant that her true power was many times greater than what she displayed. Biluo expected this reaction from the dark apparitions, but she was still shocked. She felt a little scared when so many Devil Lords glared at her. Her hair stood on ends. It was frightening. However, she didn't have the time to care about this. Defeating Black Incubus in front of her was the top priority. Biluo turned into a ray of white light and charged toward Black Incubus. Boom. A battle ensued. Biluo seemed to have turned into a goddess of light. She soared through the sky, releasing powerful light force in her every attack as she hurled it at Black Incubus. Boom, boom, boom. Black Incubus kept moving back her hideous body. The flesh on her body hissed as it got stained with light force. It started melting at a visible speed and turned into wisps of black smoke dispersing in the air. This lady is quite powerful. Wang Teng was stunned. He almost swallowed his tongue when he saw Biluo's transformation. He thought that Biluo was just a wood element martial warrior. He didn't know that she was hiding her light force, which seemed more powerful than her wood force. It was at least at the 4th level of the planetary stage. She was bathing in white light like a goddess descending from heaven. She switched on her goddess of light mode. However, very soon, Wang Teng's gaze was attracted by the attribute bubbles dropping on the ground without stopping. Constellation Force, Dark, *130 Constellation Force, Dark, *120 Imperial Realm Spirit *30 Imperial Realm Spirit *45 Constellation Force, Light, *180 Constellation Force, Light, *220 This is good stuff. This is the attribute I'm lacking the most. I must pick it up quickly. Wang Ting smiled brightly. He hurriedly released his spiritual power and collected the attribute bubbles diligently. Seems like I'm not needed. I didn't know Biluo had this trump card. It should be a piece of cake for her to finish Black Incubus. Wang Ting collected the attribute bubbles and wondered to himself as he rubbed his chin. Boom. While he was deep in thought, the situation in the sky changed. Glaring light force exploded from Biluo's body, piercing Black Incubus like a large light force sword. Roar. Black Incubus gave a scream of agony. Her voice was shrill and ear-piercing. Everyone felt their eardrums hurting. Black smoke wafted out of her mass of flesh. She was getting purified by the light force at a fast rate. Parts of her body disappeared, and the large ball of rotten flesh disintegrated quickly. Die. Let's die together. A crazy and furious yell escaped Black Incubus' throat. Her countless eyeballs swelled, and veins covered her flesh as if she had eaten a blood bomb. Oh shit. Biluo's expression changed slightly. Force swarmed out of her body and turned into a defense shield. At the same time, she retreated hurriedly, wanting to escape from the vicinity of Black Incubus. The other Devil Lords squinted as they looked in this direction. Self-destruction. Black Incubus was forced into such a tight corner. Boom. The next second, a terrifying explosion occurred at the spot where Black Incubus' body was. It resounded in the entire sky while violent force fluctuations swept through the area. Bang! With the explosion as the center point, the trees in a circular radius started to tumble and were destroyed by the strong residual forces. The ground quaked. Huge cracks appeared on the land, spreading out like spiderwebs. Next, the entire ground collapsed. The black explosion in the sky blossomed like a mushroom, releasing its beauty in the sky. The residual impact traveled for more than 1,000 miles. It was exceptionally frightening. The formidable martial warriors retreated involuntarily. Biluo wasn't able to escape in time and got swallowed by the explosion. There was no sign of her. Argus, Kathu, and the other alien candidates stared in the direction and furrowed their brows. Unfortunately, they were held back by their opponents, so they couldn't reinforce her. After some time, the dark force glow scattered in the air. A white figure was finally revealed. The white glow was a little weak and faint. It was on the verge of collapsing. It was Biluo. She was in a bad state. Her breathing was weak, and her face was pale. Blood was dripping down the corners of her lips. She had suffered grievous injuries. Fortunately, she had managed to stay alive. Black Incubus' large body had already disappeared. She seemed to have vanished from the world. Many people heaved a sigh of relief. The human side had gained a small victory in this battle. If Biluo was killed, it would be a huge blow to humans. After all, she was one of the 5 great stars in the universe. If she got defeated, the other people wouldn't have the morale to continue fighting with the dark apparitions. However, at this moment, a change occurred. Be careful. Argus warned Biluo in a loud voice. Biluo's expression changed. She felt a chill behind her, aimed directly at her back. I'm dead. Her face turned white as despair overwhelmed her. With her current state and injury, she couldn't evade the attack, much less resist. Bang! But the expected pain didn't come. Instead, a dull thud was heard. Biluo turned around hurriedly. To her surprise, she saw a familiar figure blocking her back. Wang Ting, it's that bastard. Biluo was filled with disbelief. She didn't expect Wang Ting to act. Mind you, he had been standing at the side and watching her indifferently. Yet, he still saved her. What did this young man have up his sleeve? Don't misunderstand me. I just want to finish the duel I had with that skeleton, Wang Ting replied in a calm voice without turning his head. He seemed to know what she was thinking. Chapter 826. My lady, I don't want to work hard anymore. In the sky, Wang Ting appeared behind Biluo and grabbed Wu Gus' bony palm. There was a cold and sharp glint on the bones like a sharp bone knife. Biluo looked at the figure standing not far away. Her expression changed slightly. She didn't know if she should laugh or cry. He saved her, but he had to find an excuse. What an egoistic fellow. The alien martial warriors and the devil lords were all attracted by Wang Teng. They didn't notice when this fellow appeared behind Biluo in time and saved her. Argus, Kathu, and the others squinted slightly. They carefully sized up Wang Teng. They had to admit that they were astounded by his swift movements. He could react promptly in that dangerous situation. They might not be able to do that. The group of devil lords was flabbergasted. The dark apparition who ambushed the young lady was Wu Jiyu, a devil lord known for being treacherous and crafty. It was surprising that this human had managed to block his attack. This was a little unexpected. Wang Teng didn't care what the others were thinking. He released his spiritual power and picked up all the attribute bubbles dropped during the battle. Constellation Force, Light, *1860 Light Physique *1200 Holy Sword /*450 Constellation Force, Wood, *1450 Constellation Force, Wood, *300 Constellation Force, Dark, *2530 Imperial Realm Spirit *540 Dark Devil Scripture *100 Devil Transformation *10 Amazing. This is amazing. Wang Teng's eyes were glowing with happiness. He almost burst out laughing. Besides the light attributes Biluo had dropped, there were also wood attributes and dark attributes by Black Incubus. Wang Teng received 1860 points of Constellation Light Force. This was a sizable income. After all, this wasn't an ordinary force. It was Constellation Force, which was many times more powerful than the normal force. He also gained 1200 points of Light Physique. Light Physique, 3350 10,000 Wang Teng received the Light Physique from Alays. With this additional 1200 points, his Light Physique rose from more than 2000 points to 3350 points. Wang Teng's body started transforming. His grasp and understanding of the Light Physique rose to another level. Then, there was the Holy Sword Slash. This was the skill Biluo used to kill Black Incubus. The dazzling light glow appeared in his mind as he went through the skill. The blade formed from light turned into an invincible long sword. When the sword was wielded, light shone brightly, tearing the endless darkness into pieces. Wang Teng's eyes were shimmering with the light from that sword. He was bewildered. Celestial Stage. This was a Celestial Stage light element battle technique. Wang Teng was dumbfounded. At the same time, he found it reasonable. Biluo had relied on this attack to kill Black Incubus. This wasn't something a normal planetary stage battle technique could do. As expected of a talent from the universe. She had planetary stage ability yet possessed a celestial stage battle technique. Moreover, it was a rare light element celestial stage battle technique. Rich. Wealthy. Wang Teng suddenly wanted to rush over and hug Biluo's leg. My lady, I don't want to work hard anymore. He forcefully pushed this thought out of his mind with his remaining consciousness and crushed it with his feet. Fart. Was he a person with no dignity? I have the system. Cozying up to the system is the correct choice. System, I love you. As long as I have my system, I will not lack battle techniques. It will give it to me. For instance, an ordinary martial warrior would never be able to get the Holy Sword Slash skill if they didn't come from the same family or faction. But he had it now. Holy Sword Slash, 451,000, well versed. The 450 points of Holy Sword Slash attributes allowed this battle technique to rise from the foundation to the well-versed stage. If he wanted to advance to another level, he needed 1,000 points. Wang Teng glanced at Biluo secretly from the corner of his eyes. He must get more attributes out of her. Biluo felt an evil intention swimming toward her. She frowned slightly, but she didn't know where it originated from. There were also 1450 points of Constellation Wood Force and 300 points of Emperor-level Wood Talent. Constellation Wood Force, 1680 10,000 Emperor-level Wood Talent, 310,000. This was the second Emperor-level talent he had received after his Emperor-level Ice Talent. Biluo was indeed full of potential. Not only did she have emperor-level wood talent, but she also possessed the rare light physique. Wang Ting had more respect for these alien talents. At the same time, he felt some anticipation. He wondered if the other talents would drop any more powerful attributes. After counting the attribute bubbles Biluo had dropped, Wang Ting moved on to Black Incubus. 2,530 points of Constellation Dark Force, 540 points of the Imperial Realm Spirit. Wang Ting's Dark Force rose to another level. As long as he reached the planetary stage, his ability would exceed that of a normal first-level planetary stage. Also, this was the first scripture he had received. A planetary stage Dark Element scripture, Dark Devil scripture. The outline of a figure entered his mind. Its body was covered with black meridians and acupuncture points, with dark force flowing through them. Then, they gathered into a black star above the sea of nihility. The planetary stage. This was the method to advance his dark force to the planetary stage. It sounded simple, but it was actually quite complicated. Without the relevant planetary stage scripture, one could forget about breaking through. Dark Devil scripture, 1,500, well-versed. 100 points of Dark Devil scripture were barely enough for him to cross the foundation stage and reach the well-versed stage. If Wang Ting wanted to, he could raise his dark force to the planetary stage. He had many blank attributes, so raising his dark force to the peak of the 13-star general stage was a piece of cake. However, his dark force wouldn't be of much help now. He wasn't in a hurry. Then, there was the last attribute bubble, Devil Transformation. Devil Transformation had attribute bubbles too? Wang Ting was honestly shocked when he saw this attribute bubble. Devil Transformation was a special skill only for the Devil Lords. This was their greatest secret, yet it still got dropped. Wang Ting picked up the attribute bubble. There were only 10 points of it, but the relevant information about the skill floated into his mind. The outline of a figure appeared in his consciousness. It absorbed various negative emotions and stored them in the special force stars in a planetary stage martial warrior's body. When needed, these negative emotions would explode and merge with the dark force, forming an incredible mutation that would ignite the potential in one's body and raise one's power a few times. This was the Devil Transformation. Devil Transformation, 10-100, Foundation. A faint black glow flashed in Wang Ting's eyes. He was in a dilemma. The Devil Transformation skill was powerful, but the appearance of the person after the transformation was horrifying. That was a real monster. Unless he was in a dire situation, Wang Ting felt that he wouldn't need to use the Devil Transformation. Chapter 827. How do you know that I didn't put on a show for you? While Wang Ting was in the mid of his enlightenment, Wu Jiyu, who was opposite him, sensed something. He was confused. But carefully studying this brat again, he didn't find anything amiss. Did I see wrong? Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was bewildered. It sounded like a long time, but Wang Ting only took a few seconds to pick up all the attribute bubbles. Wang Ting and Devil Lord Wu Jiyu were still standing opposite each other. They were in the spotlight. The human and the dark apparition glared at each other. Sparks flew in the air as their gazes collided. Oh, I didn't think you'd notice me. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu chuckled as he exclaimed in an exaggerated tone. Is it strange that I noticed you? Wang Ting asked calmly. Yes. I hid perfectly and almost succeeded in my sneak attack, Devil Lord Wu Jiyu said with regret. Almost succeeded? You must be daydreaming. Wang Ting scoffed. Mph, since you want to finish our past duel, I'll fulfill your wish and play with you. The two balls of flames in his eye sockets flickered a little. The instant he finished speaking, he twisted his wrist, and his bones shrunk. He pulled his hand out from Wang Ting's grip with a swoosh. Huh! Wang Ting was surprised, but he didn't chase after Wu Jiyu. Instead, he looked calmly at the Devil Lord who had retreated more than 10 meters back. You are an interesting skeleton, he said indifferently. Ha ha ha, the real show hasn't started yet. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu sniggered. Wang Ting turned and glanced at Biluo. Hey, why don't you ask me? If you do it nicely, I can take revenge for you along the way and beat this skeleton up. Biluo looked at Wang Ting helplessly. He refused to let go of that despite the circumstances. His willpower was amazing. All right. Please, can you take revenge for me?" she replied in a weak tone. She could still feel her heart palpitating from the sneak attack just now. If Wang Ting could deal with that devil lord and take revenge for her, she didn't mind pleading with him. In the past, she would never have begged anyone. But for some reason, she felt no pressure saying such words now. "You could have said this earlier." Wang Ting laughed. When he turned around, his expression had become stern. He stared coldly at Devil Lord Wu Jiyu as he opened his mouth. Starting. Boom. Suddenly, the ground below him exploded, creating invisible fluctuations in the air. Wang Ting vanished without a trace. In the blink of an eye, Wang Ting reappeared in front of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. He didn't use any weapon. He just hurled his fist at him. "Oh my, you're too naive. Have you forgotten your lesson the previous time? This fist skill can't injure me." Devil Lord Wu Gus' bones increased in size. They seemed entirely inconsistent with his tiny and frail skeletal body. The bones on his fist were pitch black. They gave off a metallic glimmer as they welcomed Wang Ting's fist. Boom. The two fists collided, creating a huge explosion and releasing a buzzing sound as if two metals had crashed into each other. Clang tilde Devil Lord Wu Gus' frail and tiny skeleton flew out. He flipped a few times in the air before stopping himself. There was astonishment in his eyes as he half-kneeled in mid-air. Numerous cracks had already appeared on his fist. There were balls of emerald flames burning in those cracks too. They couldn't be extinguished. During the collision just now, an extremely fierce tremor conscious had burrowed right into his fist. There was even a sharp sword conscious hidden in it. Not only did Wang Ting use the strength of Ultima in this fist attack, but he also used the 10th level Golden Ray earth-shattering sword conscious and instilled the emerald glazed flame in it. Even Devil Lord Wu Gus' tough bones couldn't withstand such a mixture of attacks. "I was too careless." For the first time, Devil Lord Wu Jiyu turned serious. Wang Ting's attack was powerful enough to hurt him. If he didn't treat him seriously, all his bones might break. At that time, death would be his only ending. Wang Ting floated high in the air and looked down on Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. "Do you think I displayed my true ability the previous time? How do you know that I didn't put on a show for you?" "You." Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was dumbstruck. If he wasn't a skeleton, if he were a normal person with flesh and blood, his expression would have turned really ugly. It was rare to see the happy-go-lucky Devil Lord Wu Jiyu get frustrated to this extent. Wang Ting was the first person to force him to such a stage. The other Devil Lords were shocked. At the same time, they became more serious. This human wasn't easy to deal with. The emerald flame was a divine fire, right? To think that he possessed such a rare item. "Ha ha ha, I almost got fooled by you. Do you think you can frighten me with your tricks? So what if you hide your skills? I have killed many conceited human talents like you." Devil Lord Wu Jiyu suddenly laughed. "Ignorance have no fear." Wang Ting shook his head in a composed manner. He looked at Devil Lord Wu Jiyu as if he were a dead skeleton. From his gaze, one could tell that he didn't care about Wu Jiyu at all. After all, who would care about someone that was about to die? Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was infuriated. He gave a furious roar as he stood up. His body started expanding abruptly. Boom. Black light shot out of his body. He was just a skeleton, but his body seemed to be hiding another space inside it. This space was filled with terrifying dark force. At this moment, the roaring dark force exploded. Devil Lord Wu Gus' body kept expanding under the nourishment of the dark force. Within a few breaths, it turned from a scrawny skeleton into a towering skeleton giant. "What's that?" Many alien candidates were appalled. Their jaws dropped as they stared at this giant skeleton. Devil transformation. Another devil transformation. This is the devil transformation of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. Some people guessed what it was and exclaimed in astonishment. The other Devil Lords looked over too. Their gazes were flickering. No one knew what they were thinking. At this moment, the black light around Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was blossoming. The two balls of green light in his eye sockets twirled as he looked down at Wang Teng. The two balls of ghost fire were filled with ruthlessness, chaos, and corrosiveness. Anyone looking at it would feel a chill running up their spine as if all their vitality was frozen and replaced with a thick and dense aura of death. Wang Teng snorted. He activated the constellation force in his body and awakened his origin of life. At the same time, his planetary realm spirit also kicked off, igniting the power of his origin of soul. The two balls containing the foundational energy of one's life dispersed the coldness and the aura of death. Not bad. An oppressive and strange voice came out of the skull's giant mouth. Suddenly, he stretched out his arm. A large bone blade appeared in his hand along with a dazzling black glow. What is this? Wang Teng squinted. Die. The answer was a cold shout. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu swung his enormous blade, which gave off a glaring black light and turned into a powerful blade glow. Boom. The blade glow slashed toward Wang Teng. A violent explosion occurred, and the brilliant rays of black light swallowed him entirely. Chapter 828, Heart of Magnetic Essence. Activate. The giant black skeleton stood erect between the sky and the ground, wielding his bone blade and swinging it down on Wang Teng. The blade glow engulfed Wang Teng. Bang! The ground was chopped into two as a deep, dark crack scarred the land. There seemed to be no end to it, as if it was linked to hell. The earth was shaking violently. The vibrations caused the crack to spread further and further until it reached the peak of a mountain. Boom! The mountain split open, forming an antenna running straight into the sky. The entire mountain was split into two. Many alien martial warriors were shocked. How frightening was this attack? And it was just a single move. Devil Lord Wu Gus's ability rose by a level after the devil transformation. He was an entirely different skeleton from before. Even Argus, Kathu, and the other 5 great stars were shocked. They couldn't remain calm anymore. Wang Ting. Biluo's expression changed when she saw Wang Ting disappearing under the black blade glow. Did he die so easily? She bit her lips. It was hard to tell what she was thinking. The battlecraft from the various countries floating above the skies of the ocean around the central continent broadcasted the scene. The martial warriors' expressions changed, and they gasped uncontrollably. Frightening. Extremely terrifying. One attack was enough to create a bottomless crack on land. Even the tall mountain in the distance was chopped into two. How powerful was this attack? How could a human resist this mighty dark apparition? The important figures from the various nations were appalled. They couldn't find their voices for a long time as they stared absent-mindedly at the giant skeleton displayed on their screens through the projectors. In Country Shia's battlecraft, the leader of martial arts, the 3 great commanders, and the other martial warriors were shocked. They stared intently at the spot below the bone blade, trying to find signs of Wang Teng. Wang Teng was the hope of their country. If he was killed, Country Shia would be annihilated. The entire earth might even be destroyed. Above the central continent, Devil Lord Wu Jiyu raised his giant blade and laughed in a strange tone. Ha ha ha, this is the result of putting on an act in front of me. Before he could finish his victorious declaration, a calm voice sounded beside his ear. It's too early for you to be happy. Yes. Devil Lord Wu Gus's expression changed. He turned his head abruptly and saw a figure stepping out from the space to his left. The person stared at him coldly. Do you think you are undefeatable after turning bigger? Wang Teng opened his mouth and spoke slowly. How dare you? Devil Lord Wu Gus's gaze turned vicious. He snorted angrily. Do you think you're the only one who can increase in size? Suddenly, Wang Ting hurled a punch at the mountain in the distance. A yellow ray of light shot out. Boom. The frightening force impact slammed onto the mountain, turning the tall mountain into countless broken rocks and stones that were thrown into the air. What's this young man doing? Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was puzzled. Wang Teng didn't hit him but went to punch the mountain instead. The mountain must be crying. The other Devil Lords and the alien martial warriors were confused too. They didn't understand Wang Teng's intention. However, Wang Teng wasn't affected. He shouted in his mind. Heart of Magnetic Essence. Activate. One instantly, Wang Ting's body turned into a magnet. A terrifying magnetic field was created, and numerous stones and rocks flew toward him. Boom! The rocks and stones started to piece around Wang Ting, forming a huge round ball of stones. The ball kept getting thicker and bigger. Within a few seconds, it was the size of a small meteorite. Even the giant skeleton felt pressurized. This brat, Devil Lord Wu Jiyu, squeezed the words out from the gaps of his teeth as he stared at the giant meteorite. One could tell that his mind was in a whirl. At this moment, changes occurred to the giant meteorite. Boom! A pair of arms and legs grew out from the round ball. Boom! Then, a large stone head popped out. The head was round, with 2 holes on it. Suddenly, 2 balls of yellow light lit up in the holes. Then, a formidable aura exuded from this pile of stones. The rock giant had entered the arena. The Devil Lord's expressions changed slightly. They were obviously astounded by the rock giant. Argus, Kathu, Pullin, and the other alien talents were startled too. They stared straight at the rock giant. A special physique talent. They could tell what this was. Hence, they were even more mind-blown. The surprise in their hearts grew stronger. This earthling's talent was extraordinary. He possessed such a powerful physique talent. Biluo's gaze flickered slightly. She was as bewildered as everyone when she saw Wang Ting transforming into a rock giant. Boom! The rock giant jumped down from the sky and landed in front of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. The ground shook violently. Dust flew into the air. The rock giant stood in front of the skeleton like a towering mountain. It was even a few heads taller than the giant skeleton. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. Come, let's continue our fight. Wang Teng's voice came from within the rock giant. He controlled the rock giant and raised his arms, displaying his chest muscles to Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu looked at his arm and wanted to cry. Why did he feel like a shorty who was going to be bullied by this muscular giant? Something didn't seem right. Die. Wang Ting didn't give him any time to ponder. Shouting loudly, he swung his giant stone arms at Devil Lord Wu Jiyu fiercely. The scene was majestic. Every move of this giant caused a huge commotion, much less a ferocious attack. The impact it caused was many times more frightening. The enormous fist swung through the air, compressing the air around it and creating a sonic boom. White airwaves were visible to everyone. Strength of Ultima. Suddenly, a dense golden ray of light shone around the fist while it was being hurled through the air. It turned into an outline of a huge golden blade. 10th level golden ray earth-shattering sword conscious. Devil Lord Wu Gus' expression changed tremendously. His black bones started squirming as if they were melting and quickly formed a large bone shield in front of him. Boom! The enormous arm carrying the golden sword outline slammed into the bone shield. A thunderous boom shook the skies and the ground. Crack! Next, a crisp and clear cracking sound was heard. The golden sword cut through the bone shield and went straight for Devil Lord Wu Gus' face. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was terrified. He didn't have the time to evade, so he hurriedly tilted his head to the side. Boom! The momentum of the huge giant sword didn't slow down, ramming violently into the right eye socket of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. The sturdy and tough bones shattered. The green ghost fire in it, the socket, was extinguished immediately as if it had suffered a destructive blow. Ah! A shrill and painful cry escaped Wu Gus' throat. He stumbled back with only half of his skull left. The green ghost fire in his left eye flickered as if displaying its agony. Chapter 829. The Devil Lords and alien candidates were powerful beings, yet they were all staring blankly at the changes on the battlefield. Although they had witnessed stronger attacks, it wasn't often that they would see such an impactful scene. Wang Teng didn't look strong, but they didn't expect him to be a violent maniac. Many alien candidates started fearing him. They wouldn't have been able to withstand a strike like that. The eyes of several Devil Lords twitched faintly, and some of them even sympathized with him. That punch, it probably hurt. Well, it looked like it would. Otherwise, why would he scream so miserably? Strange thoughts were wandering in the heads of the devil lords. Ha ha ha, that was a good punch. Kathu laughed. Seemingly driven by Wang Teng, his body was filled with bloodlust as he charged toward the sheephead devil lord. They had stopped their fight because of Wu Jiyu, and now, their battle continued. The sheephead devil lord was fearless. There was a glimmer in his eyes as he clashed with Kathu with black streaks of light. On the other side, the giant devil lord attacked suddenly, swinging his huge weapon at Argus. Die. With his expression unchanged, golden light erupted from Argus' body. The sword in his hand produced dozens of golden sword consciousness that enveloped the giant devil lord. They resumed their fight instantly as well. The other devil lords and alien candidates also resumed their own clashes. The tragic war started again. In an instant, the entire central continent was embroiled in a heated battle. Planetary stage warriors were so fast that a single leap could cover 1,000 miles. Their attacks were even more terrifying. Every strike of theirs was devastating. To think that back then, Wang Ting yearned for such strength. Now, he had set foot in this realm. The future was unpredictable. No one knew what could possibly happen in the future. The entire central continent was shaking as explosions engulfed the land, drowning several star beasts. It was a horrifying scene. Wu Gus' bones started rattling and squirming again, filling the void on his face. Very soon, a complete skull appeared in front of Wang Ting. Simultaneously, the ghost fire in his left eye socket split into two, filling up the one on his right. However, the ghost fires in his eyes had dwindled. With a sneer, Wang Ting strode forward. He waved the rock arms again and bombarded Wu Gus' skeletal body with punches. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu kept retreating, but he was unable to avoid Wang Teng's strikes. Wang Ting's rock body was agile and flexible. It didn't seem slow at all. Punches landed one after another on Wu Gus' body as he roared. Devil Lord Wu Gus' body was battered. He couldn't withstand Wang Ting's fierce punches, and there were holes all over his body. Wu Jiyu let out an angry bellow. He had never been so aggrieved before. He was forced by a human into a situation where he couldn't do anything at all. I thought you were impressive. Wang Ting snorted and broke 3 of his ribs with a punch. What happened to our duel? Why are you not fighting back? Wang Ting sneered and broke his arm. Weren't you going to kill me? Why are you hesitating? Wang Ting shouted as he smashed his right thigh. Come on, kill me. Stop retreating. Why are you running? Wang Ting continued provoking him with every hit. The rock giant suddenly rushed in front of Wu Jiyu and grabbed his shoulders. He then exerted strength, causing his body to make a scraping sound. The huge force acted on Wu Gus' body, and in an instant, it was torn apart by Wang Teng. The skeleton shattered into pieces, the bones flying everywhere. The huge skull of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu rolled high up in the sky. His eyes were full of confusion. He was defeated just like that. Devil Lord Wu Jiyu couldn't believe it. He couldn't accept what was happening. Visit Riadel. Me for extra chapters. In the end, his skull landed on the ground and rolled over. No, I will not be defeated. How could I be defeated? Wu Jiyu let out an unwilling roar. The ghost flames in his eyes shone brightly. The scattered bones flew in the direction of the skull as if they were pulled by an invisible force. You're still struggling. Just then, a contemptuous voice came from above. A shadow loomed over the skull before the rock giant appeared in the Devil Lord's eyes. Wang Ting controlled the rock giant and stamped on Wu Gus' skull, ramming it into the ground. Ah, you are going too far, human. Wu Jiyu let a roar in devastation. Who are you to bargain with me? Wang Ting scoffed and slowly stepped on his feet with force. The Devil Lord was horrified as if he had sensed something. What are you trying to do? Stop. No, stop. Stop. Do you accept defeat? Wang Teng asked indifferently as he ignored the Devil Lord. Yes, I admit defeat. Wu Jiyu was silent only for a moment before throwing the towel. Though inside his heart, he was full of resentment and wanted to crush Wang Ting into pieces. That's good. Wang Ting nodded and slowly lifted his foot. The Devil Lord was overjoyed. The skull rolled away, trying to get away from Wang Teng's clutches. However, after just 2 rolls, the shadow reappeared over him, and the skull was stepped on again. This time, overwhelming force crushed him. No! Wu Jiyu let out a shrill scream. The entire skull was smashed into pieces, and the ghost fire in the eye sockets was extinguished, disappearing into the sky. Since you admit defeat, I can send you on your way. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, he heard Wang Teng's voice. Why did I provoke this brat? With regret, Wu Gu's consciousness plunged into the darkness. The other devil lords in the distance saw what had happened and fell into silence. Wu Gu's strength was in the top ranks amongst the devil lords. Yet someone of his caliber still fell into the hands of that human. The alien candidates were also stunned by Wang Teng's strength and found it incredible. A talent like this had appeared on such a backward planet. Wang Teng's strength might probably be on the same level as the 5 great stars. Just when everyone's heads were flooded with thoughts, an irritating voice boomed in the surroundings. These bone fragments are hurting my feet. Chapter 830. A real stone man with 8 arms. To hell with hurting his feet. Everyone stared at Wang Ting speechlessly. The rock giant raised its leg and looked at its soul. It was pierced by many bone fragments. The bones of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu were as hard as diamonds, and they were capable of expanding and contracting. They were very special. Yet Wang Ting stomped on them and crushed them into pieces. After a moment of speechlessness, the emotions of the formidable warriors were overtaken by disbelief. The death of another Devil Lord. The dark apparitions had already lost 2 Devil Lords, including Black Incubus. On the other hand, only 1 planetary stage martial warrior was sacrificed from the human side. Moreover, Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was stomped to death. What an easy and brutal method. How frustrating. How lowly. This shouldn't be how a formidable Devil Lord should die. But this was the result. All of this was caused by this easygoing human martial warrior. The other Devil Lords found it unbelievable. However, they had to grit their teeth and accept it. This human must die. Killing intent blinked in their eyes. Wang Teng didn't seem to care that he was the must-kill target of Devil Lords now. He remained entirely composed and stood there like a tall mountain with his giant rock body. No one knew that Wang Ting had released his spiritual power to collect the attribute bubbles around him. Planetary realm spiritual power was indomitable. As long as he evaded the other martial warriors, no one would discover him. It felt amazing to silently pick up the attribute bubbles. Large attribute bubbles had dropped along with the death of Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. All of them were picked up by Wang Ting. Constellation Force, Dark, * 2550 Blackbone * 600 Emperor Level Dark Talent * 260 Imperial Realm Spirit * 580 Devil Transformation * 25 Wang Teng was surprised. A hint of astonishment flashed past his heart. There were a few good things. He had gained 2,550 points of Constellation Dark Force. Wang Ting's Constellation Dark Force made another leap. The 580 points of Imperial Realm Spirit were converted into 58 points of Planetary Realm Spirit. This was a sizable gain. There were another 260 points of Emperor-level Dark Talent. This was the 3rd Emperor-level Dark Talent Wang Teng had received. His ultimate stage Dark Talent rose to the Emperor level instantly. Emperor-level Dark Talent, 260 10,000. He immediately felt his love for his talent. He wasn't a dark apparition yet possessed the purest form of dark talent. What a luxury it was. He turned to look at the 25 points of Devil Transformation attributes. Devil Transformation again. After receiving 10 points of Devil Transformation from Black Incubus, he received another 25 from Wu Jiyu. Devil Transformation, 35-100, Foundation. What is this? Are they trying to let me grasp the Devil Transformation skill? Wang Ting muttered to himself. His expression turned a little strange. But the transformation was too ugly. He refused to be ugly. Then, there was one last attribute bubble. Black Bone. 600 points of Black Bone attribute. What was Black Bone? Once this attribute bubble merged into his body, Wang Ting felt the changes, or more accurately, the changes to his bones. Wang Ting lowered his head and activated his eyes of essence. His gaze penetrated his flesh and stared right at his bones. His bones were turning black at a visible speed. Within a few breaths, his bones had turned entirely pitch black. There were also golden patterns etched on the pitch black bones as a result of the ancient god's body. They looked mysterious. At the same time, Wang Ting also felt the difference in his bones. They had turned special. He felt that he was able to control his bones and change their shapes according to his thoughts. Flexibility. That was right. Just like how Devil Lord Wu Jiyu was able to turn his bones into bone blades and bone shields, now, Wang Ting had the same feature. Furthermore, the toughness and tenacity of his bones had reached an extraordinary level. Wang Ting possessed many physiques and practiced the ancient god's body, which was an extremely powerful physique training scripture. Hence, his bones were already as tough as steel. After this recent change, his bones became even more powerful than Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. Wang Ting's expression turned ambiguous. Suddenly, he took pity on Devil Lord Wu Jiyu. The Devil Lord had fought with him for quite a long time, but in the end, before he died, he contributed his strongest talent. How pitiful. Wang Ting didn't know that the 5 great stars were looking at him with complicated expressions when he was picking up the attribute bubbles. These talents had no choice but to admit that this earthling was formidable. They would not be able to kill a Devil Lord Dark Apparition as easily as him. But they had their pride. Their competitiveness and arrogance were ignited when they saw Wang Ting killing a Devil Lord before them. Kill. Kathu from the Crimson Moon Galaxy released all his potential. The crimson beast on his body turned into a blood-red shadow circling his body. Then, he charged towards the sheephead Devil Lord ferociously. Boom! The sheephead Devil Lord retreated, but he was unable to catch up with Kathu's current speed. He was hit instantly, and his entire body was thrown back like a sandbag. Boom! Another mountain collapsed and shattered into countless rocks amid the dust. Roar! The sheephead Devil Lord flew out from a pile of rocks and flapped the flesh wings on his back. He bellowed in anger and the muscles on his body buffed up instantly. He grew more than 100 feet in height. Not only that, 2 balls of flesh started growing on his neck. Along with the sound of 2 bubbles bursting, 2 heads popped out underneath the skin. They grew beside the original head and had sharp teeth and fangs. They were equally hideous and terrifying. The 3 heads were facing in 3 different directions. They looked weird and frightening. A few fleshy balls also bulged out on his back. Accompanied by some more pops, 4 arms grew out. 3 heads and 6 arms. Wang Ting was attracted by the situation on this side. He looked over in bewilderment. If he remembered correctly, the 8 arms Devil General had 8 arms. Wang Ting had never used the 8 arms Devil physique ever since he got it from the Devil Lord. If he beat this sheephead Devil Lord, would he drop a 3 heads 6 arms physique or something related? A strange thought popped up into Wang Ting's mind. Would he become Neza 1? Wait, I might have stumbled on a secret. Wang Ting had a smart idea. He activated his heart of magnetic essence and attracted the broken rocks from the collapsed mountain. Boom, boom, boom. Numerous broken rocks merged into his giant rock body and gathered behind his back. Instantly, 6 rock arms grew out behind the rock giant. Wang Ting controlled the rock giant and activated his 18 tasks multitasking skill. He clenched all his 8 arms simultaneously. This felt amazing. A real stone man with 8 arms. The sheephead Devil Lord. Chapter 831. This is too much. Wang Ting. No one could imagine how exasperated the sheephead Devil Lord was at this moment. After the devil transformation, he grew 2 more heads and 4 arms. Yet, Wang Ting immediately copied him and turned into an 8 arms rock giant. It was hard to believe that he wasn't targeting him. The sheephead Devil Lord felt frustrated and furious. Was he planning to join the other martial warrior? Come on. Damn it, I will fight for my life. The sheephead Devil Lord wasn't the only one who thought that Wang Ting wanted to join in the battle. Even Kathu felt the same way. He frowned and said hurriedly, "Don't interfere. This is my prey. Wang Ting." This time, Wang Ting was confused. He just wanted to see if his idea would work. Why did the alien martial warrior suddenly warn him against interfering? "Do I look like I'm a busybody? Are you an idiot? What does that have to do with me? You can continue your fight." Wang Ting's irritated voice came from within the rock giant. He turned and looked away from Kathu. Kathu, the sheep-head devil lord. Coincidentally, when Wang Ting turned, he faced Argus. Argus was fighting with the giant devil lord. He frowned and said coldly, "Stop. Don't blame me for being impolite if you take another step forward." None of these arrogant talents wanted Wang Ting to interfere in their fights. After all, this fellow had just killed a devil lord. They wouldn't have any chances if he joined in their battles. Wang Ting was confused. What's wrong with the minds of all these aliens? Do they think I am a busybody? Go away. Argus got impatient when he saw Wang Ting standing at the same spot without moving. What the F***K? Wang Ting's temper was ignited. His gaze turned sharp, and he yelled, "Who are you shouting at?" "You." Argus replied. "Why must I listen to you? Who are you?" "I was not planning to interfere, but since you mentioned it, I will do just that." Wang Ting scoffed. He controlled his rock body and dashed towards Argus and the giant devil lord. Boom, boom, boom. Loud explosions were heard as the enormous feet stomped on the ground. The land trembled under his might. It was terrifying. What did I do to deserve this? The giant devil lord's expression changed. He felt extremely wronged. He had gained a formidable opponent without doing anything. "It's all this golden-haired human's fault. It has nothing to do with me. Don't come and look for me. Go away." The giant devil lord ranted in his mind. He was so frustrated that he wanted to vomit blood. Truthfully, Argus was powerful. The devil lord found it difficult to deal with him alone and was even at a disadvantage. If Wang Ting joined in, he would be in a dire state. Argus' face turned ugly. He realized that he had misunderstood Wang Ting. "Damn it, you should have said earlier if you don't intend to interfere. Who should I blame for this huge misunderstanding?" "Ha ha ha." Kathu gloated. Fortunately, his attitude was not bad, so he didn't provoke Wang Ting. If not, he would be the one feeling exasperated. Boom. Wang Ting didn't care about what they thought. He leaped up with his enormous body and covered more than 10 meters in the air. Raising all his 8 arms, he swung them down. The 5-element fist conscious formed a thick layer around the 8 fists. 5 different colors of light blossomed. At this moment, Wang Ting understood the real use of the 8 arms devil physique. He could only release its true potential and power after merging it with his 18 tasks multitasking skill and the various forces. The giant devil lord almost got blinded by the dazzling rays of light. His pupils constricted uncontrollably, and he was flabbergasted. 5 elements. Wang Ting possessed the forces of all 5 elements. Even Argus was shocked. He forgot to be angry at Wang Ting for interfering with his duel and stared at him absent-mindedly. How could this earthling possess such talent? As a renowned universe talent, he felt a little jealous. The other alien talents also noticed the situation on this side and were astounded. Was Wang Ting really an earthling? How could he be so talented? Everyone found it unbelievable. It was hard to imagine such a gifted martial warrior being born on this underdeveloped planet. The giant devil lord didn't dare to let down his guard when he saw Wang Ting pouncing on him. He retaliated instantly. His eyes turned bloodshot, and black light swarmed around his body. His killing intent was burning as if he had used some secret scripture. Boom. A powerful aura erupted from his body. This giant devil lord was a formidable figure too. Instead of retreating, he shot forward and welcomed Wang Ting's 8 fists with his thick arm. Boom, boom, boom. An intense battle ensued. This was a battle of fists. It was simple and crude. The giant race was known for their tough bodies, so they always used their physical body to suppress their opponents. Unfortunately, he met the unpredictable Wang Ting. Instead of having an advantage, He was the one getting beaten. The giant devil lord didn't have the time and effort to take care of all the 8 arms hurled at him. It was hard to fight against 4 arms, much less 8. This was too much. The devil lord was on the brink of tears. Boom. The giant devil lord raised his arms and stopped the attack from 2 rock arms. Just when he was about to pull his arms back, Wang Ting suddenly opened his fists and grabbed the giant devil lord's wrists. The giant devil lord's expression changed. All his muscles tensed up, and strong energy exploded from his body as he tried to break free from the rock arm's control. The 2 rock arms seemed to have frozen in the air. They remained firm and tight. He couldn't pull his arms out. "Your strength is too weak. You can't fight with me," Wang Ting snorted. The other 6 arms slammed down aggressively. Boom, boom, boom. As the 6 fists crashed into the giant devil lord's body, all 5 forces exploded. One of the arms even contained poison force. It invaded the giant devil lord's body while hiding within the 5 basic element forces. Wang Ting was indeed sly. The 5 elements weren't enough. He had to add more ingredients. Even a devil lord wouldn't be able to handle the poison of the demon lotus poison body. The muscles on the giant devil lord's body sunk in. He suffered a serious injury as the 5 basic element forces, along with the poison force, exploded in his body. He opened his huge mouth and bellowed in anger while struggling frantically. He wanted to break free from Wang Ting but couldn't. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Ting controlled the remaining 6 arms and attacked the devil lord again and again. All the fists landed squarely on his body. The frightening energy and the boundless force surged into the devil lord's body. No. The giant devil lord started to get frightened as Wang Ting's fists landed on him. Fear crept up his heart, and he roared in terror. His voice was soon overpowered by an explosion. Boom. The giant devil lord's body had exploded. Wang Ting blew up his body with brute force. Flesh and blood rained down in the air, splattering all over the ground. Everyone. There was dead silence after the spectators saw this scene. Argus stopped in his tracks without a word. His face turned green, and he lost his voice. Chapter 832, Neza Wang Ting. Wang Ting forcefully caused a devil lord to explode. The scene was gruesome. All the devil lords pulled a long face. They were astounded and infuriated. Anyone who witnessed their fellow companion getting beaten up so badly would be dumbstruck. The other alien candidates were in awe too. They couldn't describe their emotions. They were planetary stage martial warriors, but they knew they couldn't replicate what Wang Ting had done. He had destroyed the body of a devil lord. Moreover, it was a giant race devil lord who was known for his tough body. In the battlecraft floating around the perimeter of the central continent, the martial warriors from the various countries were staring at the image on the screen with their mouths agape. Their words seemed to be stuck in their throat. They wanted to speak, but there was no sound. This was a terrifying scene. The appearance of every single devil lord level represented catastrophe. The Xingwu continent had suffered greatly, so all the countries knew how powerful devil lords were. But these devil lords were being beaten by Wang Ting like sandbags. They had no chance of retaliating at all. How horrifying. The death of the giant devil lord showed how formidable Wang Ting was. This astounded all the general stage martial warriors from Earth. Country Xia. The important figures from the White Eagle Nation, Country Boar, Country Star, and other big nations turned to stare at Country Xia's battlecraft. They didn't hide the envy and jealousy in their eyes. Why was there such a huge difference? Why didn't an indomitable talent appear in their country? Why did Country Xia have one? The martial warriors had a mental breakdown. Their eyes turned red. After witnessing the power of planetary stage martial warriors, they finally understood that a major shift was happening in the world. Just like the Industrial Revolution, this was a chance for civilization to take a major leap. The opportunity was right in front of them. Such a revolution also meant a reshuffling of the major powers. The rise of Country Xia, which had Wang Ting, was inevitable. They might even obtain the leading role after the dust settled. Many thoughts went through the martial warriors' minds. The battle in front of them hadn't ended, but they were already contemplating the future. This was the mindset of a politician. The leader of martial arts and the other martial warriors in country Shia's battlecraft were thunderstruck. Then, boundless joy overcame them. Good. The leader clapped his hands loudly. He couldn't contain his excitement. Ha ha ha, Wang Ting is getting stronger. Commander Hong laughed. Commander Yong and Commander Long nodded fervently. They couldn't suppress their happiness either. People in their generation had a strong national identity, especially since they were from country Xia. This identity was ingrained in their souls. Hence, they were overjoyed when they saw Wang Ting rising up. This meant that they, or rather, Wang Ting would bring their nation to achieve unprecedented glory. In the sky above the central continent. This fellow, a strange glint flashed in Biluo's eyes as she muttered to herself. No one heard the rest of her sentence. Only she knew what she said. He's very powerful. Kathu got excited and shouted uncontrollably, Wang Ting, fight with me after this battle. Go away, you ugly freak. Wang Ting glanced at Kathu in surprise and replied to him in a cold voice. Kathu's expression froze. The corners of his lips twitched violently. Ugly freak. Am I ugly? You should give a better reason if you want to reject me, you bastard. Wang Ting couldn't care less about him. He was elated because he would receive many attribute bubbles since he killed another devil lord. He swept his spiritual power over and picked up the attribute bubbles around him. Constellation Force, Dark. Asterisk 2300 Imperial Realm Spirit asterisk 520 Emperor Level Dark Talent asterisk 243 Heads 6 Arms asterisk 360 Devil Transformation asterisk 20 Wang Ting felt that he had become extremely composed as the bubbles merged into his body. It was insipid. Wang Ting could face his gains calmly after picking up attribute bubbles from 3 Devil Lords consecutively. However, when he saw the 3 Heads 6 Arms attribute, his expression still changed. Seriously? He did wonder if there would be a similar attribute, but he didn't think it really existed. It was worth killing that giant devil lord. He didn't know how to use these dark apparitions' physiques in the past, but he was enlightened now. This physique was extremely useful when combined with the Heart of Magnetic Essence. The Heart of Magnetic Essence had a high upper limit, so Wang Ting could use it for a long time. He might be able to continue using it even after he reached the celestial stage or higher. He recalled the feeling of smashing the giant devil lord to death. Although the method was crude and simple, it felt refreshing. Wang Ting focused on the changes in his body. The 3 Heads 6 Arms attribute was similar to the 8 Arms devil physique he had received in the past. They were both physique talents, but one had 3 heads. He wouldn't become smarter with 3 heads, but his vision would improve. There wouldn't be any blind spots. Well, that sounds quite useful. Please call me Neza Wang Ting in the future. After collecting the attribute bubbles, Wang Ting turned to Argus. He saw the anger on his face and said nonchalantly, I'm sorry. I killed him accidentally and forgot to leave a body for you. Argus felt his eyelids trembling. He wanted to curse, but he couldn't. It was so annoying. This bastard was definitely doing it on purpose. His attitude was a little bad, but Wang Ting didn't have to stimulate him like this. This fellow is narrow-minded. Argus suddenly regretted offending Wang Ting. This young man wasn't someone easy to bully. However, this thought only appeared in his mind for a split second. His pride as a universe talent forbade him from admitting his mistake. Argus stared at Wang Ting indifferently and sneered. Don't think too highly of yourself. All you did was kill a devil lord. Really? You sure are talking big. Why don't you kill one? Wang Ting sneered. Open your eyes and look carefully. Argus snorted and turned away from Wang Ting. After locking onto a devil lord, he charged over angrily. The vampire devil lord was fighting with an alien candidate. The alien candidate was at a disadvantage and had suffered many serious injuries on his body. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. He looked miserable. Move. Argus dashed over and shouted at the alien candidate. Then, he threw his punches at the vampire devil lord. The alien candidate was mad at Argus for looking down on him, but at the same time, he felt fortunate. He didn't linger around and retreated far away. Staying alive was the most important thing. Bang! Argus collided with the vampire dark apparition. He might have said that he didn't care, but Wang Teng did stimulate him. Thus, when he attacked, he used his ultimate move directly. A terrifying fist aura swept toward the vampire. Chapter 833, Destruction of the Land. 1. Argus was bathed in golden light. His fist was covered with golden light too. It was a dazzling sight. Boom! A fist was released and thrown at the vampire devil lord. The vampire's expression changed. He flapped the wings behind him and turned into crimson lingering shadows as he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Argus left a trail of golden shadows as he chased after the devil lord. He stuck close to him while firing punches at the guy. TSK. This fellow likes to put on a show. Do you think that you're Super Saiyang? Wang Teng pouted as he complained. He didn't lower his voice, so Argus, who was in the middle of a battle, captured his words perfectly. The corners of his lips trembled. He couldn't do anything to Wang Teng, but he could vent his anger on the vampire devil lord in front of him. A long spear suddenly appeared in his hand with golden rays of light blossoming at its tip. It shot through space and stabbed right at the vampire devil lord. Splurt! The vampire devil lord resisted in a flurry, but the spear still pierced him. The golden spear glow penetrated his shoulder, bringing a splash of blood with it. One of his arms was crippled along with his shoulder. Ah! The vampire devil lord screamed in agony. Its pale face turned whiter, and large drops of sweat dripped down his forehead. Damn it, human! You must die! The vampire devil lord roared in anger. His eyes were filled with bitterness and hatred as he glared at Argus. Roar! Suddenly, rays of black light shot out from his body. The black light turned dense quickly and swallowed the devil lord. No one could see what was happening in the darkness. The black light kept expanding. It hung in the sky like a mini sun. Gradually, a terrifying fluctuation flowed out from the black light. Argus turned serious. The vampire devil lord was forced to execute his devil transformation because of him. Devil transformation shouldn't be looked down upon, no matter what kind of dark apparition used it. Argus stared at the black light firmly as the wrinkles on his forehead grew deeper. Swoosh! Suddenly, a pair of flesh wings pierced through the black light. The wings were extremely huge. They hung down from the sky, blocking all the remaining light there was. Everyone was attracted by the situation here. They were appalled. Next, a large head popped out of the black light. What kind of head was it? It looked exactly like a bat's head. However, it was gigantic, so it appeared exceptionally scary and gruesome. The enormous body lifted itself out from the black light. The vampire devil lord had turned into a giant bat. Oh my, this big bat is so scary! Wang Teng exclaimed. The devil lord turned his head and looked at Wang Teng. However, when he saw the towering 8-arms rock giant, he turned his head back. Then, his bitter gaze landed on Argus. A bellow came from the vampire devil lord's mouth. It resounded in the air and formed sound waves that drilled into everyone's ear, sounding shrill and unpleasant. Oh shit! Many alien candidates' expressions changed. They covered their ears hurriedly, but they were still affected by the sound waves. They felt dizzy. The devil lords in front of them grabbed this chance and started attacking violently. Wang Teng frowned. His spiritual power floated in his mind and dissipated the sound waves. He was surprised. This sound wave was a spiritual attack. Interesting. Unfortunately, his spiritual power was too strong, so he wasn't affected. As the target of the vampire devil lord, Argus received the greatest impact from the sound waves. He felt dizzy too. He quickly retreated with a grim expression. The vampire devil lord grabbed the chance to launch his attack. He flapped his wings and swooped down on Argus at an incredible speed. Wang Teng's gaze froze for a moment. He stared at Argus. Was that all he had? Boom! A sudden loud explosion was heard. Wang Ting turned his head uncontrollably and saw an alien candidate getting stabbed by a devil lord. Before the martial warrior died, he self-destructed. The dark apparition suffered serious injuries too. The commotion caused by the death of a planetary stage martial warrior was earth-shattering. Large cracks appeared on the ground. This was just the start. Soon after, many other devil lords and alien candidates started sacrificing themselves one by one. The entire central continent turned into hell. This was what a real battlefield should look like. A planetary realm battlefield. The central continent suffered a horrifying disaster. It was as if a magnitude 18 earthquake had struck this piece of land. The mountains collapsed, and bottomless cracks were visible on the ground everywhere. The seawater crashed onto the land, submerging parts of the continent. Constellation Force, Dark, * 1200 Imperial Realm Spirit * 450 Devil Transformation * 25 Constellation Force, Earth, * 1350 Constellation Force, Water, * 2100 Constellation Force, Fire, * 1600 blank attribute * 15600. Wang Ting looked at the surroundings with a frown while picking up the attribute bubbles. The central continent would be in ruins after this battle. Fortunately, this continent wasn't densely populated like the others. Imagine how many people would die if it was. But the star beasts went through an unexpected calamity. They got caught in the battle, so many of them died. This was why Wang Ting managed to collect a large number of blank attributes. No effort was needed. On the other side, Argus and the Devil Lord's battle was getting heated. The vampire Devil Lord wasn't Argus' match and was almost half dead. There were many bleeding holes in his body. The poor guy looked horrendous. 1. Chapter 834. He flapped his wings and soared towards the sky, trying to get away from Argus' pursuit. However, Argus' attacks were extremely fierce. He chased the fleeing Devil Lord wherever he went. It was as though he had vowed to kill a Devil Lord in order to prove himself to Wang Ting. Get lost. The vampire Devil Lord turned his head and roared. A black ball of light rapidly condensed in his mouth. In the next moment, the vampire Devil Lord closed his mouth, sending the black ball of light toward Argus. Argus snorted and thrust his spear forward. The golden spear collided with the black ball and caused a fierce force wave to spread in the air. The vampire Devil Lord was elated when the wave managed to slow Argus down. He flew away in a bid to escape. The talents from the universe are a tough bunch. They are all perverted. But next time, I will make them pay. Ruthless thoughts were flowing in the vampire Devil Lord's head. The next moment, he suddenly realized that he couldn't fly. The vampire Devil Lord looked down, and his pupils shrank immediately. He was horrified. His leg had been caught, and he didn't even know when it happened. And the one who caught his leg was Wang Ting, the guy he didn't want to provoke the most. When the vampire Devil Lord was stunned, a rock arm stretched out from below, clasping the vampire Devil Lord's leg firmly. The Devil Lord then felt that there was a mocking smile on the rock giant's face. He couldn't tell if he was being delusional or not. The fight's not over. Why are you running away? Wang Teng's voice resounded from within the rock giant's body. The vampire Devil Lord didn't say another word and condensed a black ball in his mouth once again. He wanted to hit him with his ultimate move. Unfortunately, Wang Teng didn't give him an opportunity to do so. The rock arm suddenly exerted force and started swinging. The vampire's body spun wildly like a windmill. His whole world was spinning, and the black ball in his mouth dissipated. Wang Ting slammed the vampire to the ground. The land quaked and moaned under the impact. The scene was shocking. A huge bat was smashed into the ground by a rock giant. It felt painful by just thinking about it. Dull thuds continued to sound. The Devil Lord's body was slammed against the ground again and again. The poor guy was knocked out of his senses, even forgetting to scream. I've never killed a huge bat like you. Let me try it today, Wang Ting said. The vampire Devil Lord suddenly shuddered, and he got goosebumps all over his body. Wang Ting didn't give him a chance to resist. When the Devil Lord's body landed on the ground, He placed his foot on his back and tore his wings with the rock arms. A pair of fleshy wings broke off, splattering blood everywhere. It was a gory scene. Ah! The vampire devil lord let out a shrill scream and struggled frantically on the ground. Wang Ting didn't say a word. The entire rock body landed on the devil lord's body and held him in place while its 8 arms pummeled the guy. After a flurry of punches, the vampire devil lord blew up like the giant devil lord. Another dark apparition devil lord was defeated. Wang Ting's rock giant stood up and stretched its back. Wang Ting. Argus' cold voice emerged from his back. Oops. I'm sorry. I couldn't control myself. Wang Ting turned around and looked at him innocently. You. Argus looked ashen. Calm down, calm down. Just fight another one. There are a lot of devil lords besides this one. Wang Ting snickered. Argus was on the verge of vomiting blood. He had spent so much energy beating up the vampire devil lord. In the end, Wang Ting claimed the booty instead. Damn it. He shouldn't steal someone's glory like that. How shameless. Argus saw Wang Ting's despicable face and wanted to beat him up. Just then, a loud blare could be heard. The ground was shaking violently. The vibrations were much greater than when a planetary stage martial warrior or a devil lord self-destructed. Everyone looked up and down. Wang Ting frowned and flew up into the sky. Although his rock body was huge, he could ignore gravity by using Heart of Magnetic Essence to manipulate the rock body. Visit Riadel. Me for extra chapters. His pupils shrank when he looked down and saw what was going on. At a glance, he could see the entire central continent collapsing. Large patches of forests were being destroyed as they fell into the dark cracks. Mountains were crumbling and caving in the midst of the vibrations. Over in the distance, there was even a volcanic eruption. Hot magma spewed straight into the sky. The surviving star beasts in the forests were fleeing and roaring desperately, but they were quickly swallowed by the ground. Some star beasts were struggling at the edge of the cracks in vain. They soon fell and disappeared without a trace. The entire central continent is collapsing. Wang Teng's heart shook as if he had guessed something. The battle between the planetary stage warriors and devil lords was too terrifying. It was going to destroy the entire continent and sink it into the ocean. That was the power of the planetary stage. Given the space and freedom, any planetary stage warrior would be able to destroy a planet easily. That was nothing but the truth. Far away on their battlecraft, the leaders of various countries saw what was happening to the central continent and were speechless. A continent was about to be destroyed and sink into the ocean. On Country Shia's battlecraft, the leader of martial arts struggled to swallow his saliva. How? He couldn't find any words to describe the complex emotions in his heart. If we let them do as they please, the whole planet would be destroyed. Commander Hong uttered in shock. This is bad. The sea levels will rise and there will be tsunamis if the entire continent sinks into the ocean. Commander Yong said anxiously. Don't worry, the defense arrays that were completed by Wang Ting previously are enough to withstand the tsunami. The leader assured them. Yes. My memory is failing me. It's fortunate that Wang Ting has good foresight. Commander Yong slapped his head and replied with relief. But I didn't expect the arrays to be utilized so soon, Commander Hong said helplessly. I wonder if the other countries have made sufficient countermeasures. Commander Yong pondered. This tsunami should be enough to devastate them for a while. Look. The White Eagle Nation and Alliance's battlecraft are rushing back. Commander Long noted. No. The central continent hasn't sunk completely. It looks like it has stopped. The leader frowned. Everyone couldn't help but look. Sure enough, the central continent suddenly stopped after sinking to a certain level. What's that? Commander Long pointed at the screen projection and exclaimed. Someone of his age and status would have developed a calm temperament. However, he couldn't control himself and screamed. In fact, the leader and the others had also realized it. Everyone was flabbergasted as they looked at the projection. They saw something enormous gradually emerging from under the central continent. Those were historical remains of a large ancient civilization. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 835 The historical remains of a large ancient civilization rose from the ground. How majestic and unbelievable this scene was. All the structures were made of unknown metal with a unique style. It was different from anything seen on Earth. The martial warriors present had powerful eyesight, so they instantly saw the strange symbols carved on the structures. The symbol looked like a skull, but it seemed abstract. It gave off an ancient feeling. The important figures sitting in the battlecraft were shocked too. They ordered their men to zoom in on the structures until they couldn't enhance it anymore. They stopped unwillingly. "Oh my God, this is incredible," Cromwell from the White Eagle Nation exclaimed. He couldn't hide the astonishment in his heart. The other talents from the White Eagle Nation were beside him. Yoke, Shuan, and the other martial warriors stared at the metallic historical remains that had almost replaced the entire piece of land. Yoke swallowed his saliva and uttered, "Commander, we should have been able to detect these historical structures if they existed below the central continent. What do you know? The condition beneath the land is complex. Before the martial arts era, humans only managed to explore 0.2% of the land below. The maximum range of our devices and machines is 1,000 meters. Some deep wells are special, so we can't conduct large-scale drilling on them. During the martial arts era, we increased the depth to 3,000 meters, but it's still isn't enough for us to grasp the situation below the ground entirely." Commander Cromwell took a deep breath and explained. Yoke and the others nodded in deep thought. Based on the time and the intense vibrations of the ground when this relic was rising, it must have been buried more than 3,000 meters underground. Also, if I have guessed correctly, the historical remains must be from a great ancient civilization. We don't know what skills or technology they have. They might have had a way of concealing themselves. The Battle of Planetary Stage martial warriors was too violent, triggering a crustal movement. This might have caused the concealing method to lose effect and the historical remains to surface, Commander Cromwell added. A great ancient civilization. Everyone was shocked. Commander, this great ancient civilization must have many amazing technologies. Yoke said with shimmering eyes. Cromwell looked at him as if he was an idiot. Don't drag me if you want to die. Shuan, Marsha, and the others stared at him strangely too. Yoke shivered as if their gazes had doused him with a bucket of cold water. The perfect way to describe him was a person blinded by greed. He knew that it was dangerous, but he couldn't control himself. However, the attitude of the other people made him understand that he was thinking too much. Since the remains have appeared in front of the formidable martial warriors, we can forget about it. Didn't you see their strength? They could destroy an entire piece of land. We will be seeking death if we interfere. Well, just pick up after them. There might be some gains. Commander Cromwell sighed. They used to be a strong nation, but now, they could only pick up what others didn't want. Yoke moved his lips. In the end, he had to accept reality. Sigh, country Shia will probably be the first in line because of Wang Teng. Cromwell ignored Yoke's expression and continued lamenting. No one replied to him. They stared at the screen with complicated expressions on their faces. The enormous rock giant was conspicuous even among the formidable martial warriors. Commander, we've detected a strong energy fluctuation below the remains, a staff member on the battlecraft shouted abruptly. Energy fluctuation. Cromwell was stunned. He asked hurriedly, "Do you know what it is?" "We are not certain yet. But the intensity of the fluctuation is more than 100 times stronger than the purest force stones we know. Also, there's a great number of them," the staff member exclaimed. Damn it. Cromwell's eyes turned red. Before seeing the good things, he could maintain a calm facade. But after laying his eyes on the treasures, he couldn't control himself. He wished he could rush down and grab them immediately. His rationality stopped him though. He would be killing himself by going down. He mustn't do that. Since the White Eagle Nation was able to discover the fluctuations, the other countries could too. There was a huge uproar in all the battlecraft. The important martial warriors from the various nations were dumbstruck. They discussed what they should do with these ancient remains. Visit Me for extra chapters. In the end, all the countries decided to take no action. They would wait for the planetary stage martial warriors in the sky to have their fill before considering if they should pick up the bones. Although helpless, they couldn't do anything. They could only swallow their frustration. At the same time, in the universe outside Earth, two figures were sitting opposite each other. They sat cross-legged while wearing unique-looking golden long robes. Their long hair fluttered, making them seem a little holy. A coffee table floated in front of them. There was a tea set on it. They disregarded the zero-gravity environment around them and enjoyed tea as if they weren't in space but in their backyard. They drank with each other happily and carefreely. There was a circular object that looked like a mirror made of light to their left. The situation of the central continent was shown within the reflection. These remains are interesting. One of the middle-aged men gasped softly. This is a land of wakening. It's nothing strange. The other man glanced at the mirror indifferently. Then, he teased, "Are you going to snatch the opportunities from the younger generation?" Cough, am I that kind of person? The middle-aged man coughed awkwardly. Who knows? But everyone knows that you, Ma Dayuan, are shameless. The other man chuckled. Ning Honglang, where did you get the courage to tease me? You're no better. Ma Dayuan was infuriated. He glared at his companion. No better. I'm much better than you. Ning Honglang snapped back. In an instant, their harmonious image was destroyed. They almost started fighting in space. However, they understood their own ability. If they acted here, the entire solar system might be destroyed. After bickering for some time, they sat down quietly and continued drinking tea like some mysterious immortals living in the mountains. Cough. If you ask me, I think that fellow from Earth will emerge as the winner, Ma Dayuan said abruptly. Wow, great minds think alike. Ning Honglang's eyes lit up. He nodded in approval. Argus, Kathu, and the other talents will not be able to beat him. Look at how sly and cheeky he is. He's just like me when I was young. Ma Dayuan laughed. Things are getting interesting. Ning Honglang glanced at him from the corner of his eyes as he smiled. He didn't refute. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 836, The appearance of the historical remains attracted the attention of all the planetary stage martial warriors and the Devil Lords. They looked down. There were 13 planetary stage martial warriors left and 10 Devil Lords. Both sides were almost similar in combat strength. The atmosphere between the two groups reached a strange equilibrium with the appearance of the historical remains. Very soon, they felt the energy coming out of the historical site. The balls of energy floated amid the ancient structures. They were giving off a fuzzy white glow. The energy they contained was tempting even for a planetary stage martial warrior. Moreover, this historical site was huge and well maintained. No one knew if there were bigger treasures hidden underneath. Both sides went silent. Then, they plummeted down in unplanned unison. All the powerful beings shot out like cannons. They moved at the speed of light and bolted into the historical site. Everyone aimed for the closest ball of light. They reached their arms out and wanted to grab them. A Devil Lord caught a light ball and laughed happily when he saw the item clearly. Constellation elixir. It's a constellation elixir. The others who hadn't grabbed the light balls were astounded. Then they started beaming with joy. Suddenly, the Devil Lord noticed that the weight on his hand had disappeared. The constellation elixir was gone. The Devil Lord was stunned. Can you tell me what this constellation elixir is? An apologetic voice entered his ears. The Devil Lord turned in the direction of the voice and saw Wang Ting standing on top of the rock giant. He was looking at him from afar. He was holding a constellation elixir. It looked like the one that had disappeared from his hand. Veins started to bulge out on the Devil Lord's forehead. Then he turned directly and rushed towards another light ball, disregarding Wang Ting entirely. Wang Ting smirked. He ignored the Devil Lord and released his spiritual power. He swept all the balls of light over. Collecting light bubbles? Wasn't that his profession? He was extremely skilled at it. The other people who had dashed towards the balls of light were shocked. They were just inches away from them, but suddenly, the balls started flying in a certain direction. They could only stare at their empty hands. Their eyes widened in surprise as they stared in the direction where the balls of light went. Anger engulfed them instantly. All the martial warriors roared indignantly. If looks could kill, Wang Ting would have been torn into pieces. The Devil Lords were infuriated too. They glared at Wang Ting. In the blink of an eye, everyone darted towards a certain area. The historical site was huge. The area they were at was just a small part of the entire site. There were large numbers of light balls to be collected in other regions. Wang Ting's eyes lit up. He sniggered and disappeared. He didn't know what these constellation elixirs were for, but from everyone's reaction, he knew that they were good stuff. Thus, he should snatch as many as he could. Wang Ting shuttled back and forth within the historical site. His spiritual power swarmed out as he pulled all the light balls over to him. The martial warriors and devil lords were always a step too late. They could snatch 1 or 2 light balls sometimes, but it was nothing compared to what Wang Ting received. This young man was heartless. Wang Ting's move incensed everyone. He collected all the constellation elixirs at the historical site, leaving no chance for the others. Well, honestly, he left a few scraps. Everyone went mad. They searched frantically for Wang Ting, wanting to beat him up. Even the extremely talented alien martial warriors like Argus and Kathu were infuriated. A strong malicious aura exuded from their bodies as they stared at the few balls of light in their hands. At this moment, Wang Ting was everyone's common enemy. "Hez here," someone spot Wang Ting and shouted loudly. Numerous figures gathered in the direction where Wang Ting was last seen. They were like bees that had smelled honey. F***K, crazy. They are all crazy. Wang Ting got a fright. He increased his speed to the maximum and escaped into the depth of the historical site. There were too many people. It would be hard for him to fight with them, so he better run. "Wang Ting, don't run." A shout was heard. A figure flew out from the side, slashing a blade glow at Wang Ting with bloodshot eyes. "Don't run. You think him stupid?" Wang Ting pushed his fist out and welcomed his opponent's blade glow. However, he didn't slow down. He continued charging forward. The blade glow and the fist glow collided and erupted. The alien candidate was in a slightly tragic state. He glared in Wang Ting's direction. "Where's he?" A figure caught up with him. This was one of the 5 great stars, Loggins. There were already some grudges between him and Wang Ting. His expression was cold, and his gaze was sharp as he asked the alien candidate. "In front." He went into that huge building in the middle. The alien candidate pointed in the direction and replied without any hesitation. "Catch him." Loggins bellowed. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared. A hint of fear flashed past the alien candidate's eyes when he recalled Wang Ting's punch. However, he still gritted his teeth and chased after him. He didn't want to give up. The devil lords behind had caught up too. They headed straight for the huge building. Visit Ria Del. Me for extra chapters. The others followed thereafter. Soon, all the martial warriors and devil lords stopped in front of the large building. Wang Ting was standing in front with his back facing everyone. He was staring at the entrance of the building as if looking for something. He turned when he heard the footsteps and greeted them with a smile. "Hey, everyone is here." The crowd was raging. When they saw his expression, they felt exasperated. It was as if they had punched a bag of cotton. They couldn't vent their frustration anywhere. "Wang Ting, hand over the constellation elixir." "You're too selfish." Loggins stepped forward and shouted furiously. "Selfish? I don't think so. I was never a selfish person," Wang Ting replied in confusion. This fellow was pretending to be innocent. "Are you going to hand them over?" Loggins' gaze turned sharp. "There are many people here. Are you planning to pocket everything?" He wasn't stupid. He pulled the other people along to pressure Wang Ting. As expected, the others didn't say anything, but they looked at Wang Ting simultaneously. They seemed ready to attack him. So many people. Do you mean the dark apparitions too? Wow, are you asking me to share it with the dark apparitions? What are you thinking? Wang Ting shouted. F***K. Loggins' face turned black. I didn't say that. You're bullshitting. You did. I heard it. Everyone heard it. You're framing me. Loggins was enraged. Nonsense. You can ask everyone. Wang Ting pointed at Biluo and shouted, Pretty lady, did he say that just now? You must speak the truth. I saved you before. You can't go against your conscience. Biluo stared at him speechlessly. This fellow was threatening her because he was her savior. Seriously? She shifted her gaze between Wang Ting and Loggins. Her gaze was meaningful. Well, Wang Ting did save her life. Also, she was an honest person. Loggins' expression turned uglier when he saw her expression. He cursed uncontrollably, F***K, I'm going to kill you. He dashed towards Wang Ting at the speed of light. Thick rays of black light shimmered around his hands as he clawed toward Wang Ting's heart. His speed was incredible. He arrived before Wang Ting within a split second. Go away. The cheeky expression on Wang Ting's face vanished. His gaze turned cold, and he punched his fist out. 10th level golden ray earth-shattering sword conscious. These two forces were released together. His fist collided with his opponent's claw and caused a terrifying explosion. Suddenly, a figure was thrown backward violently. He staggered a little when he landed. The ground below him cracked under the impact. Loggins' expression distorted. His hands were densely covered with scales, but they were all bloodstained. Some scales had already cracked while his hands were trembling uncontrollably. You're overestimating yourself. Wang Ting flicked his sleeve and glared at him. His tone was indifferent. Don't provoke me. If not, I'll kill you. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 837 U. Loggins' face turned green in anger. He was vexed. However, Wang Ting didn't plan to continue talking to him. He glanced around him and sneered. If you want it, you can come forward and take it. The crowd's expressions turned complicated. In the end, none of them acted. Their gaze landed on the large building behind Wang Ting. The entire structure was silver-white. The bottom part was flat while the top was pointy. There were numerous pointy towers that merged together and pierced right into the sky. The design was unique. A large metal door stood erect in front of everyone. This was the entrance of the building. In the middle of the door, there was a skull totem. It looked exquisite and was a different shape compared to a human skull. It was bigger, much bigger than a normal human's. The brain capacity was around twice that of a human's. This skull. Wang Ting's eyes lit up. He thought of something. He felt a sense of familiarity when he reached this area. However, his thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of the other martial warriors and devil lords. After looking at the skull carefully, he finally remembered where he saw it. This skull was surprisingly similar to the crystal skulls he had. To be safe, Wang Ting instilled his spiritual power into his space ring and compared his crystal skulls with the skull totem on the door. He realized that they were almost the same. There seemed to be no difference. So, what's the connection between them? Many thoughts went through Wang Ting's mind. However, he maintained his indifferent expression and stood at the side without saying anything. The alien martial warriors walked forward and sized up the huge door. They seemed to be searching for a way to enter. Even the devil lords started moving. They stared at the huge door as if they were extremely interested in it. Well, to be more exact, they were interested in what was behind this door. No one was willing to act. They kept their distance and remained on high alert. After some time, someone finally touched the skull totem on the door, which started vibrating. The huge skull totem started shrinking into the door amid the vibration. Within a short moment, 13 holes appeared. Everyone was astounded. They looked over and realized that all the holes were shaped like skulls. But this time, they were the same size as a normal human skull. They formed the outline of the giant skull totem. Oh my God! Argus' eyes shimmered. An object suddenly appeared in his hand. When Kathu, Pullin, and Loggins saw the item Argus was holding, they took out a similar item. The objects in their hands looked exactly the same. Wang Ting was already paying close attention to them, so he glanced at them secretly and saw what they were holding. His pupils shrank. They were holding crystal skulls. If I'm right, these crystal skulls must have an intimate connection to this place. If any of you have this, please take it out, Argus scanned the crowd and said calmly. Everyone blinked when they heard him. A few more alien candidates took out their crystal skulls. They counted them carefully. There were 8 crystal skulls in total. Anyone else has it? We only have 8. We need 5 more. Kathu frowned. The alien candidates shook their heads. Argus and Kathus' gazes finally landed on the Devil Lords. Many alien candidates were killed in the earlier conflict. These Devil Lords might have taken their possessions. The Devil Lords were stunned. They silently checked the items they had gained a while ago and discovered a few crystal skulls. 3 crystal skulls appeared in the hands of 3 Devil Lords. We have 11 now. We need 2 more, Argus said. Where did you get these skulls from? Pullin asked suddenly. I got one from a museum in Country Bat. These earthlings are so stupid. This is a treasure that can raise one's spiritual power. Why are they displaying it? Kathu shook his head. What about you guys? Same, Argus replied calmly. Visit Riadel. Me for extra chapters. I found mine under a deity sculpture in the Imperial Palace of Country Inca. They seemed to be worshipping this crystal skull. Pullin played with the crystal skull in his hand and laughed. These earthlings hadn't discovered the use of these crystal skulls. I asked them in the past. They said that they found these crystal skulls in the remains of a civilization called Maya. However, it had laid forgotten for many years, so a few of them might have been destroyed, another alien candidate who possessed a crystal skull added. Damaged. Kathus' eyes almost popped out of his socket. He complained in frustration. Are these earthlings stupid? How can they destroy such a treasure? F***K. Wang Ting cursed instantly. This alien was extremely impolite. How dare he scolded his fellow earthlings in front of him. Kathu was caught off guard. He glanced at Wang Ting awkwardly. Who are you calling an idiot? You are the real idiot. Wang Ting yelled back at him. Oh my, look at my short temper. If earthlings are not idiots, why did they destroy the crystal skulls? This is all your fault. Kathu glared back at him. Bullshit. Who says that the remaining 2 crystal skulls are destroyed? Do you believe in rumors? Wang Ting took out the 2 crystal skulls he possessed and waved them in front of Kathu. He had heard the same rumor that some crystal skulls were destroyed. In the past, he believed it. However, with all 13 crystal skulls in front of him, he had to accept this reality. He was just a little puzzled. Kathu was dumbfounded when he saw the 2 crystal skulls in Wang Ting's hand. He stuttered, You have 2 of them? Why didn't you take them out earlier? You didn't ask, Wang Ting said righteously. F***K. Kathu almost fainted from anger. He rolled his eyes in annoyance. Argus frowned at Wang Ting. His gaze was filled with contempt. He said indifferently, All right, since all 13 skulls are here, let's try to open the door. He stuffed his crystal skull into one of the holes on the door without any hesitation. It fitted perfectly without any gaps. The others quickly placed their crystal skulls into the holes when they saw this. After all 13 crystal skulls were fitted into the holes, the large crystal skull totem lit up. Rays of dazzling silver light shot out. The door trembled and opened gradually. A great hall that had been sealed for who knew how many years was revealed to everyone. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 838. Record it in your little notebook. As the door opened gradually, everyone looked into the great hall. It was pitch black. Nothing could be seen from the outside. The darkness seemed to have the power to swallow all sources of light. Even the planetary stage martial warriors couldn't see anything with their powerful eyesight. Let's go. Glances were exchanged and everyone made their decision quickly. Seeking wealth in risk. Since they were already here, it was worth exploring even if there was danger. Hence, everyone, including the Devil Lords, walked into the Great Hall. Biluo suddenly came beside Wang Teng and walked along with him. She used voice transmission to speak to him. I feel that something isn't right with this historical site. The appearance of the constellation elixirs is strange. It seems to be luring us here. Why are you telling me this? Wang Teng asked in surprise using voice transmission. I just want to find an ally. You're an alien, and I'm an earthling. Why are you asking me to be your ally? Wang Teng stared at her in disbelief. Can't I? Biluo asked. You can. I'm honored to be accompanied by a beauty, Wang Teng replied using voice transmission as he blinked. Don't fool around. I'm being serious. Biluo rolled her eyes angrily. Okay, I'll be serious. Wang Teng turned stern. What do you think? Biluo asked again. I'll think on my feet, Wang Teng answered. The corners of Biluo's lips trembled. She almost lost control of her emotions. Thinking on his feet. What happened to being serious? I'm going to kill you. Cough. Okay, I'll be serious. Wang Teng coughed awkwardly when he saw her death glare. Go on. Biluo took a deep breath. We'll solve whatever comes our way, Wang Teng said with bright eyes. I regret asking you. Biluo was speechless. This is the only way now. Wang Teng's expression changed. He sounded embarrassed. Be careful of Argus. Biluo nodded and stared at Wang Teng intently. What do you mean? Wang Teng was stunned. Biluo walked forward without responding. Wang Teng suspected that she did it on purpose. This was her revenge for teasing her. She was so narrow-minded. Biluo glanced at Wang Teng from the corner of her eyes. The edge of her lips lifted up a little when she saw his exasperated expression. The two of them followed the others and entered the great hall. Boom. The door behind them shut abruptly with a loud bang. Glaring white light lit up the great hall brightly. Wang Teng squinted for a moment and got used to the sudden glare quickly. He scanned his surroundings and his pupils constricted. He turned to Biluo. Leave. He was already dashing towards a passageway straight ahead in the great hall. Biluo's expression changed. She instinctively caught up with Wang Teng without thinking too much. She raised her speed to the maximum and followed closely behind him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Blinding beams of white light shot out from the walls around the great hall. They were aimed at the people who came in. These beams of white light traveled at the speed of lightning. Within a split second, they were inches away from everyone. The crowd could only put up a hasty defense. They were in a state of panic. Swoosh. One beam of white light pierced through the abdomen of an alien candidate. It was able to penetrate the body of a planetary stage martial warrior with ease. This was unbelievable. A cry of agony rose in the great hall. The alien candidate's reaction slowed down because of the serious injury. Soon, another beam of white light reached him. Splurt. Multiple beams of white light pierced through his body, one of them even puncturing his skull. A gorgeous crimson flower blossomed in the air. This was the flower of death. The alien candidate died unwillingly, refusing to close his eyes. He didn't die during the battle with the dark apparitions, but he was killed by this strange great hall. Moreover, his life was taken by a beam of white light. How frustrating was that? He wasn't the only one. Many other alien candidates suffered heavy injuries too. They executed their strongest defense skills to resist the onslaught. Roar. A furious roar echoed in the hall. A devil lord slumped to the ground, dead. His heart was stabbed by a beam of white light, and he lost all his vitality. On the other side, Wang Teng and Biluo were rushing towards the passageway in front. However, The beams of white light seemed to be able to sense their presence. They changed direction and headed for them. Wang Tung snorted. Spiritual power gushed out and formed a defensive wall to block the beams. Planetary realm spiritual power was a mighty weapon. The invisible shield it formed caused all the beams of light to stop in mid-air. Wang Teng used this chance to escape from the encirclement of the beams. Thick light force surged out of Biluo's body, turning her into a beam of white light too. She dodged her way through the white light rain. Swoosh. However, there were too many beams of white light. Two of them scraped her arm. An inch closer and her arm would have been penetrated. Biluo's face turned pale. Cold sweat poured down her forehead. She didn't dare to let down her guard and kept a close distance to Wang Ting. She only had one thought. She couldn't stray too far away from Wang Ting. If not, she would die. Wang Ting bought her some time when he blocked the beams of white light. If she was a step too late and the white light shot over again, she would have been hit. Wang Ting darted among the beams. He realized that spiritual power was extremely effective in blocking the white light. He managed to move closer to the passageway quickly with the help of his spiritual power. Almost there. Almost. Almost there. Swoosh. Wang Ting stared intently at the passageway. Suddenly, he took a leap and evaded the last beam of white light, successfully landing in the passageway. Sigh. He let out a long breath. On the other hand, Biluo wasn't as lucky. The beams of white light started shooting out faster as if they had detected an invader getting close to the passageway. She couldn't keep up with the speed of the attacks and slowed down. Shit. Her face was pale as she stared at a beam of white light heading straight for her forehead. She couldn't evade it. When the beam of white light reached half a meter away from her, it paused in the air for a moment. It seemed to have stopped. Biluo thought she was having an illusion. Come over quickly. Wang Ting's shout woke her up from her stupor. Biluo was astounded. She found it unbelievable, but she didn't have the time to think too much. She hurled herself at the passageway and covered the remaining distance. Swoosh. She stopped beside Wang Ting while panting. Large drops of sweat rolled down her forehead. Are you all right? Wang Ting's calm voice entered her ears. Biluo raised her eyes and looked at Wang Ting. Shaking her head, she said, "You saved me again. It's all right. You'll get used to it. Remember to record it in your little notebook," Wang Ting said. Biluo, degree. Chapter 839, More Confidence to Brag. 1. Shameless. Thick-skinned. Biluo was speechless. She felt grateful to him for saving her life, but she also felt helpless when she remembered his eccentric personality. In the end, she turned and looked out of the passageway. She didn't want to see Wang Teng anymore. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Rays of white light continued shooting through the great hall with great force. The alien martial warriors and the devil lords executed various skills and charged towards the passageway. Argus and Kathu protected themselves with battle armor. Argus' golden armor had a metallic reflection. It was dazzling and brilliant. On the other hand, Kathus' armor was crimson. It was a little dark and gave off an eerie feeling. The style of their battle armors was totally different. Argus' armor was like the black tailcoat one wore to a banquet for the upper class. It was refined and noble. Kathus was rough and savage like a coat made from wild beast skin. Swoosh, swoosh. The two of them were moving at the same speed. They evaded the blockade of the rays of white light like two bolts of golden and crimson lightning, heading straight for the passageway. Although these light beams couldn't penetrate their armor, every single strike caused them to pause for a moment. If they had nothing to step on, they would have been pushed back forcefully by the impact. Fortunately, they were well prepared. If they were caught off guard, the terrifying force would have thrown them off their feet. The others behind noticed them and copied their actions. Their bodies started glowing, and an armor appeared around them. Even the devil lords were wearing different black armors. They braved the light rain and flew toward the passageway. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Sonic booms were heard continuously. Argus and Cathu were the first to escape from the range of light attacks and reach the passageway. The others lagged behind and came one by one. Surprised, Wang Ting looked at their battle armors. These armors were quite unique. They covered the entire body, including the head, and protected the wearer from all sides. There were 2 plates of crystal in the eye area. The eyes of the martial warriors and devil lords could be seen behind them. Wang Ting also realized that besides Argus, Cathu, and the devil lords, the battle armors on the other martial warriors were like uniforms. Some of them had the same style with the same symbol. For instance, 2 of the martial warriors had a phoenix symbol on their left shoulder while 3 other martial warriors had a special symbol on their chest. These symbols were exactly the same in terms of color and design. "This is the constellation armor," Biluo said using voice transmission when she noticed his gaze. Constellation armor? Wang Teng was puzzled. Then, he remembered the constellation armors of the Holy Knights. However, there was no point in comparing the two. The divine constellation armors of the Holy Knights could be damaged by the attack of a general stage martial warrior. On the other hand, this constellation armor could withstand powerful light beams. Although there were many marks on the armor due to the attacks, the wearer wasn't injured. This was enough to prove the armor's defense ability. It's made using various precious ores and special forging techniques. It boasts amazing defense ability and has an energy consolidation rune device that is able to gather the strength of many powerful attacks and use it as an ultimate move, Biluo introduced. There are also special runes carved in it to make it easier to wear. Once the owner of the battle armor activates the runes, he can wear it directly. It's a convenient and great support during a battle. The armor also has a special trait. It's made using memory-type ores. Along with the power of runes, it can restore the damage inflicted on it. As long as it's not too serious, the armor will heal by itself. Of course, the higher the level of the armor, the greater its restoration ability. Wang Ting's eyes lit up. Indeed, he saw the battle armors restoring at a visible speed. It was amazing. This constellation armor seemed like a good item. Are these armors common in the universe? Wang Ting asked. Yes. You'll be able to buy it if you're rich enough. Biluo smiled. Of course, there are different grades of battle armors. Argus and Cathus are custom-made. They used many precious materials the common man can't afford. Look at the others. Their armors are mass-produced. There are many similar battle armors in the market. The defense ability is not bad, but they will still break under a formidable attack. Of course, this is just in comparison. Argus and Cathus armor might be better, but they can only withstand a first-level celestial stage attack. It will be used when faced with anything more powerful. Wang Ting nodded. He sized up Cathu and Argus while touching his chin. They are very rich. What's with that expression? Biluo asked. She felt speechless. For some reason, she felt that he was up to no good. Nothing. I'm just taking a look. I'm not planning to snatch their armor. I'm not that kind of person, Wang Ting said firmly. Biluo. Can you be a bit more obvious when you say that? Chapter 840. This guy really spoke without any restraint. He had no qualms about Argus and the other talents, even thinking about stealing their items. No one else would dare to think of it. Wang Tung was too shameless. Oh yes. If they all have their own armor, why do you not have one? Wang Tung suddenly asked. I have one. Biluo answered. Shouldn't you be wearing it? Are you stupid? Wang Tung glanced at her in disbelief. Oh. I forgot, Biluo said with embarrassment. Wang Ting looked at her strangely and sized her up a few times. This woman was attractive, but she wasn't very smart. What's with that look of yours? Biluo glared fiercely at Wang Ting as she blushed slightly. Cough. Nothing. I was just surprised. Wang Ting coughed awkwardly. Wang Ting smirked and stopped teasing her. Turning around, he looked inside the hall. There were several corpses. 3 of them were alien martial warriors, while the other 2 were devil lords. 5 planetary stage warriors died all of a sudden. Biluo also noticed Wang Ting's gaze. she said solemnly. I didn't expect a powerful trap here. Those were probably laser attacks emitted by the rune devices which stored force. They are several times stronger than ordinary laser weapons and can kill planetary stage martial warriors. They were all caught off guard and killed before they could even react. It isn't that I didn't want to use my armor, there was just not enough time for me to think of it. If I was a step late, I might be dead as well. Wang Ting nodded and accepted her explanation. The white beams of light were very fast, and they had appeared abruptly. It was normal to have no time to react. Sometimes, a thought could mean the difference between life or death in a critical situation. Don't think that planetary stage martial warriors are strong. In fact, the planetary stage is just the bottom of the barrel in the universe. There are just too many things that can kill a planetary stage martial warrior, Biluo added. I thought you didn't know. Wang Ting glanced at her. These alien candidates thought so highly of themselves, acting all haughty when they descended on Earth. Fortunately, they knew that they were just at the bottom on the universal stage. Biluo felt gloomy. She gave him a kind reminder but got dissed instead. How ungrateful. However, when she saw Wang Ting looking at her, she became a little embarrassed. In the universe, the planetary stage was nothing. But on Earth, someone in the planetary stage was formidable. It was not unusual for people to look down on Earth's martial warriors. But she was rescued by Wang Ting twice. She couldn't really refute him. They gave us quite a big welcoming gift. Looks like there are more dangers waiting for us. Wang Ting didn't take it to heart and laughed. You're still joking around. Biluo rolled her eyes. 5 planetary stage warriors died just after entering, and more would follow later. The more dangerous it is, the greater the opportunity. Wang Ting chuckled. Biluo's eyes flashed. She had to admit that Wang Ting was right. There was definitely a great opportunity here. Wang Ting saw Biluo's gaze and smiled. He then released his spiritual power, collecting the attribute bubbles around him. There was already a small opportunity here in front of him. Another pleasant surprise. A bunch of attribute bubbles was dropped when the planetary stage warriors and devil lords lost their lives. It was a good thing for Wang Ting. Constellation Force, Fire, Asterisk 1700 Emperor Level Fire Talent Asterisk 210 Imperial Realm Spirit Asterisk 660 Imperial Realm Enlightenment Asterisk 53010 Th Level Fire Sword Conscious Asterisk 780 Constellation Force, Wood, Asterisk 2100 Imperial Realm Spirit Asterisk 680 Imperial Realm Enlightenment Asterisk 550 Constellation Force, Earth, Asterisk 1850 Imperial Realm Spirit Asterisk 560 Imperial Realm Enlightenment Asterisk 49010 Th Level Earth Blade Conscious Asterisk 1100 Constellation Force, Dark, Asterisk 2050 Imperial Realm Spirit Asterisk 600 Emperor Level Dark Talent Asterisk 120 Constellation Force, Dark, Asterisk 1900 Imperial Realm Spirit Asterisk 570 The attribute bubbles merged into Wang Ting's body. The gains were impressive. Boundless force attribute bubbles merged into his body and flowed into his limbs and meridians. Then, they swarmed back into the constellation stars above the sea of nihility like swallows returning to their nests. Fire, wood, earth. These constellation forces skyrocketed instantly. His spirit and enlightenment increased simultaneously as well. Visit Ria Me for extra chapters. The deaths resulted in a large number of spirit and enlightenment attribute bubbles being dropped. Moreover, they were all Imperial Realm attributes. Although they were just a fraction of what a planetary stage attribute was worth, it was still a lot. There were a total of 3070 Imperial Realm spirit attributes, which could be converted into 307 planetary realm spirit attributes. Spirit, 566 10,000, planetary realm, a total of 1570 Imperial Realm Enlightenment attributes were converted into 157 Planetary Realm Enlightenment attribute points. Wang Ting's enlightenment had already reached the planetary realm. After all, several planetary stage warriors had fallen, and he managed to obtain many enlightenment attribute bubbles. He just didn't have the time to check the number. He absorbed large numbers of enlightenment attribute bubbles, and his tally increased by 157 points. Enlightenment, 357-10,000, planetary realm. Wang Ting's mind was invigorated with the improvement of his spirit and enlightenment. The corner of his mouth revealed a slight arc. "Why are you smiling?" Biluo asked when she saw him smiling for no reason. "I feel like I've become a little bit smarter today." "Amazing." Biluo's lips trembled. Her impression of Wang Ting worsened. This guy seemed a little narcissistic. Wang Ting ignored Biluo. TMPH, mortals could never understand him. He continued looking at the attribute bubbles. Emperor-level fire talent was an attribute that Wang Ting didn't have. Out of the 5 elements, only the wood talent had achieved the Emperor level. Now, Wang Ting had Emperor-level fire talent too. Fire talent was different from wood talent. It was a force attribute with extremely high attack power. An improvement in fire talent would help in the control of the fire force. Next were 2 conscious attributes. Wang Ting didn't expect to see the 2 10th level conscious attributes here. 10th level fire sword conscious. 10th level earth blade conscious. After obtaining the golden ray earth-shattering sword conscious, Wang Ting now had 2 more 10th level sword conscious attributes. This was good news for him. After all, he had more confidence to brag now. Not just that, he even obtained a planetary stage blade technique, Star Alps blade. Wang Ting felt emotional. He finally obtained a battle technique that wasn't macho like Mountain Cleaver Battleaxe. He didn't want to be a brawny man. He wanted to be elegant and unrestrained. Wang Ting was elated after gaining a planetary stage blade technique. He felt stronger again. The remaining attribute bubbles, Constellation Dark Force, Emperor-level Dark Talent, and Devil Transformation, were all dark attributes. Despite getting a lot of dark attributes, Wang Ting didn't take a closer look for now. He decided to check them after everything was over. Besides collecting the attribute bubbles, Wang Ting also used his spiritual power to take the space equipment from the dead planetary stage warriors. Of course, this was done without anyone noticing. Now that their owners were dead, the space equipment no longer belonged to anybody. Wang Ting immediately used his spiritual power for his benefit. He realized that the planetary stage martial warriors had constellation armor and placed them inside his space. It was convenient for him to wear the armor. He just had to activate it. There were a total of 5 constellation armors. 3 were from humans, and 2 were from dark apparitions. Wang Ting sniggered. Now, he had an armor as well. However, it was a pity that they had died. Even though they had their armors, they were still killed by the white beam. Wang Ting pretended to lament. At this time, the others had regained their senses and turned to look at the situation in the Great Hall. The armor covering their faces slowly faded away, revealing their distorted expressions. When they saw that Wang Ting and Biluo were unscathed, they felt as though their hearts had been pierced by arrows. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 841, F***K. I know how to shoot too. Oh my, is everyone alright? Wang Ting asked worriedly when he saw their plight. Everyone's faces turned black. Fake. He wasn't worried. No, this fellow was definitely laughing at them. It's all my fault. Everything happened at once, so I didn't have the time to remind everyone. My bad. Wang Ting continued blaming himself as if he didn't notice their expressions. Argus and Kathu were even more infuriated. Their faces were now as black as the bottom of a pot. Flames of anger almost shot out of their eyes as they glared at Wang Ting. The Devil Lords also shot him with cold gazes. Biluo felt awkward for him as she stood beside him. She pulled the edge of his clothes silently and winked at him. Stop talking. Can't you see that they want to murder you? Biluo was at a loss of words. She felt that this fellow loved to provoke people and was extremely enthusiastic at earning murderous gazes. Suddenly, a devil lord who was shrouded in mist opened his mouth and said in a hoarse voice, Wang Ting, you talk too much nonsense. Huh? Mister, why are you hiding? Are you ashamed to reveal your face? Wang Ting commented softly. The devil lord behind the mist went silent for a moment. You make people want to kill you. Really? I don't think so. I treasure my little life, Wang Teng replied in confusion. F***K. Phantasma Devil Lord felt that he couldn't communicate with this fellow when he saw Wang Ting's pretentious expression. He snorted and took the lead to walk into the passageway. He wanted to ignore Wang Ting. Seriously, why do you have to curse? Wang Ting muttered. He looked at Biluo and continued, let's go. There's no time to waste. Biluo was speechless. So you realized that you're wasting time? You're the one wasting the most time, you bastard. Of course, she didn't say anything aloud. Based on Wang Ting's character, he might continue the conversation if she replied to him. The others followed them hurriedly and explored the depth of the tunnel. They were more vigilant this time. They took each step with caution and carefully observed their surroundings. This was a silver-white metallic passageway. It was 5 meters wide, and the walls were extremely smooth. There was no unnecessary structure. Dust piled on the ground. When they stepped on it, it would fly into the air. This passageway wasn't long. It was approximately 40 meters in length, so they reached the end very soon. Nothing happened along the way. However, when everyone stepped out of the passageway, rays of red light lit up in the dark, and shrill sounds of the air compressing were heard. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sounds were concentrated, and red rays of light cut through the air like lasers. Everyone was already on their guard. They reacted the instant they heard the sounds. No one had taken off their battle armors. They didn't dare to relax. They wore their armors to prevent any other accidents from happening. Argus and Kathu started moving. They clutched their weapons and charged toward the source of the sound. Boom, boom, boom. Airwaves crashed in this small space. Explosions sounded continuously. Wang Ting felt a strong gust of wind behind him. He moved his thoughts and activated the constellation armor he had obtained from a dead planetary stage alien candidate. Instantly, a red-blue battle armor appeared on his body, covering him from head to toe. The battle armor was extremely fitting. There were no gaps anywhere, and he didn't feel any discomfort. He only felt something cool pasted on his skin. It felt cozy. This was a mass-produced battle armor. There was a phoenix carved on his left shoulder just like the other 2 alien candidates. He turned around and released his fist. Boom. Powerful energy surged out and knocked the attacker away. One of the alien candidates took out a luminous object and lit up the small space. To their surprise, this was actually a huge room. Ice-cold metal mechanical bodies appeared around them. They stared at the invaders with their blood-red electronic eyes. Once they got knocked back, they would fly toward the invaders again. Metal robots. Wang Ting frowned. He didn't expect the ones stopping them to be robots. The technology on Earth wasn't advanced enough to create such powerful and agile robots. Yet, he saw them in this historical site that had been sealed for who knew how many years. This was unbelievable. Boom. A metal robot charged toward Wang Teng again. Its arm changed and turned into a sharp metal blade. Force gathered on it, forming a blade glow as it struck Wang Teng. The ground started shaking. The other robots dashed towards their target and launched their ultimate attacks. Metal robots. Biluo locked her brows. She spoke quickly, be careful. These metal robots are hard to deal with. They're inflexible and have no thoughts. All they do is obey the order given by the system. Their attacks are simple, but there's one problem. The material used to create them is tough and sturdy. It's difficult to break their bodies. With a sharp gaze, a blue sword appeared in Wang Ting's hand. This was the sword he had snatched from the blue-haired young man. Slash. In the next second, his body disappeared as he shot toward the robot. Boom. A sword glow flashed and collided with the robot's metallic sharp blade. Force shimmered around the weapons as they resisted and corroded each other. Wang Teng's expression didn't change. He released a punch with his other hand. It was aimed at the robot's head. Boom. The robot reacted quickly. It tilted its head and evaded Wang Ting's attack. However, Wang Ting was faster. He turned his wrist and changed his fist into a claw, stabbing his fingers right into the robot's left eye. Splat! He pulled out the blood-red electronic eye immediately. Sparks flew everywhere. Unexpectedly, even after receiving such damage, the robot continued moving normally. The other robotic arm turned into a black muzzle directed at Wang Ting's head. They were extremely close, so the muzzle was only inches away from its target. Damn it! Wang Ting cursed uncontrollably. He noticed that force glow was already gathering in the muzzle at a fast speed. A scorching heat exuded from within. He lowered his head and evaded the aim of the muzzle without much thought. Boom! A beam of fire shot out. It flew past the battle armor on Wang Ting's head with almost no space in between. F***K, I know how to shoot too. Infuriated, a rune gun appeared in Wang Ting's hand. He pointed it up and pulled the trigger while aiming at the robot's chin. As force gathered, the rune gun was charged within a split second. A force bullet formed from fire constellation force shot out, leaving a trail of flames behind it. Boom! Half of the robot's head was engulfed in flames. The robot paused for a moment in mid-air before crashing to the ground. Chapter 842. As the robot collapsed, Wang Ting turned to look at Biluo and blew the muzzle of his gun pretentiously. Then, he said, "What did you say just now? This robot is tough and sturdy." Biluo was fighting with another robot. She almost choked on her own breath when she heard Wang Ting's words. The robot seized the chance and attacked furiously. "Go away. I don't want to see you," she shouted as she hurriedly defended herself against the robot's attacks. She didn't even look at Wang Ting. Wang Ting chuckled. He wondered if he was a little out of line here. She was fighting, but he still talked to her and distracted her. This wasn't good. Cough. "All right, I won't disturb you. Please continue." Wang Ting became a spectator. He squatted down and sized up the robot curiously. The technology involved in making this robot was highly advanced. Although Wang Ting had destroyed it, he admitted that it was powerful. Look, the other people were having a hard time dealing with them. One could only admit that Wang Ting was too powerful. Well, I should bring this back to my country and let them study it. The technology on Earth might take a huge leap because of it. Wang Ting touched his chin and mumbled. He kept the robot in his space ring directly. Then, he raised his head and glanced at the jewels around him. There were many more robots compared to the human martial warriors and devil lords. He counted approximately 30 of them. Many people were being attacked by 2 to 3 robots. Wang Ting was luckier since only one robot had charged at him. He didn't plan to help them, though. He was perfectly happy watching them battle violently with the robots. He also took the chance to observe the robots' attacks. Just like what Biluo said, the robots' attack pattern was simple. They either changed their arms into sharp blades or guns. There's nothing much to see. The robots are disappointing. Wang Ting shook his head. At this moment, 2 laser beams shot out from one robot's eye. The martial warrior opposite couldn't react in time. The armor in front of his eyes was penetrated by the laser, which then hit the martial warrior's head. The planetary stage martial warrior slammed to the ground and died. Huh! They can shoot lasers out of their eyes. Wang Ting was shocked. It looked like the eyes were a weak spot of this armor. It would get easily damaged by external forces. He wondered to himself. Everyone was astounded when they saw this scene. They became vigilant of the robot's eyes. Wang Ting released his spiritual power and picked up the attribute bubbles dropped by the planetary stage martial warrior. Constellation Force, Water, * 1800 Imperial Realm Enlightenment * 600 Imperial Realm Enlightenment * 540 10th Level Water Sword Conscious * 400 10th Level Water Sword Concha. Wang Ting was elated. This was another 10th level conscious. What a great gain for him. A sonic boom shot through the air. Wang Ting raised his head and saw the robot who had killed that planetary stage martial warrior dashing toward him. "Be careful," Biluo called out spontaneously. Her expression changed when she saw Wang Ting still squatting there. F***K, do you think him easy to bully? Wang Ting frowned and scoffed. This time, he had the experience of fighting with a robot and had been observing it for some time. He knew how the robots attacked. Getting rid of one was just a piece of cake. In the next instant, a few rays of light flew out from his body and headed for the robot. He used his spiritual power to control numerous flying daggers, targeting the robot's weak points, joints, eyes, etc. Wang Teng's spirit had reached the planetary realm, so the flying daggers became even more powerful under his control. They moved as fast as lightning. The flying daggers crashed into the robot's knee. It staggered and fell forward. However, its outer layer was extremely tough, so the flying daggers couldn't penetrate it, even with Wang Ting's spiritual power. The quality of these flying daggers is not good enough. Wang Ting frowned and wondered to himself. Along with 2 explosions, 2 of the flying daggers hit the robot's eyes. After seeing the laser attack, it only made sense for Wang Ting to destroy its eyes first in case the robot gave him a death glare. Once its eyes were destroyed, the robot turned sluggish. It couldn't lock onto Wang Ting's position and started attacking frantically in all directions. The martial warriors around it were in trouble. The robot's random attacks didn't hit Wang Ting but them. The martial warriors bellowed in anger. Their resentment towards Wang Ting was extremely strong. Wang Ting felt awkward. He shrunk his neck and complained to himself. It's not my fault. The robot is the culprit. However, he didn't dawdle. He took a step out, appearing behind the robot instantly. He wanted to use his fist to smash the robot's head, but he remembered that he had to bring it back for research. So he kept his fist and twisted the robot's head by 180 degrees. The robot froze on the spot. Then, it started jerking as if there was an error in its circuit. Wang Teng kept it in his space ring. One robot was taken care of quickly. The other people were stunned. They suddenly wondered if the robot attacking Wang Ting was of the same kind as the one they were fighting against. Visit Ria Del. Me for extra chapters. Why did it seem so simple for him? Argus, Kathu, and the 5 great stars were the first to realize the issue. They stopped using brute force and copied Wang Ting silently. Very soon, they destroyed the robots too. Biluo dragged a robot over and threw it at Wang Ting. This is for you. You seem interested in it. Thank you. Wang Ting kept it instantly. You don't even pretend to be polite, Biluo complained. There's no need to be polite with someone you're close to, Wang Ting said in an intimate tone. How am I close with you? Biluo was speechless. I know you don't mean what you say. Wang Ting shook his head. Ignoring his reply, she asked, Are you planning to study the robots? I'm just going to dismantle them for fun. You don't have to hide your plans. Biluo rolled her eyes and continued, Studying them will be a waste of time, manpower, and resources. You might not be able to get results in the end. The technology on this planet is too backward. A better option will be to buy some technology patents from the Olant Federation directly to raise the level of your civilization first. Sigh, you don't understand because you're not in our shoes. Earth doesn't have the money to buy patents from the Olant Federation. They must be expensive. Well, not that much. Basic patents are easy to get. Earth's technology is too far behind, so you just need to get some basic ones. It won't cost much. Is it cheap? Why don't you donate some? Wang Ting's eyes lit up. In your dreams. Biluo glared at him. This fellow was thinking too much. Wang Ting noticed that the other people had gotten rid of their robots too, so he flew over quickly to recycle the trash. Can you give me this robot? Wang Ting asked everyone he met. The alien martial warriors were arrogant and couldn't be bothered about the robots. They were lazy to reply to Wang Ting too, so they flew away directly. Without minding it, Wang Teng kept the robots happily. Hey, do you want this robot? Wang Teng came beside Kathu and asked. He was already planning to keep it. I'm sorry, I actually like this robot. Kathu pressed the robot down and stared at him bitterly. Wang Teng looked back at him. When their eyes met, sparks flew in the air. You can keep it then. I thought you didn't want it since you left it on the ground. You need to throw your own rubbish away. We're adults. We need to be considerate. Wang Ting pulled his hand back and said seriously. The edge of Cathus' eyes started trembling. He had cursed multiple times in his heart. He had never seen someone as thick-skinned as him. Cathu kept the robot with an angry snort. He moved away from Wang Ting and stood at the side. What he couldn't see wouldn't hurt him. Wang Ting turned and looked at Argus. Argus immediately kept the robot. He didn't give Wang Ting a chance to speak. TSK, keep it all you want. It's nothing, Wang Ting murmured. He didn't stay on the issue. After clearing up, everyone's gaze landed on the huge door in front. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 843, It's Best to Be Prudent. It was an exquisite golden gate with peculiar carvings. They were not of any rare plants or animals and just seemed to be patterns. No one paid much attention to it and came to the gate. There won't be any traps here, right? Cathu frowned. No one replied to him as they were unsure what would happen after they went past the gate. A deep light flashed in Wang Ting's eyes as he used Eyes of Essence. He stared right through the golden gates. At the beginning, the Eyes of Essence worked well. He could see through the internal structure of the golden gates, layer by layer. However, he soon realized that the gates had a strange quality. They actually had a hindering effect on the Eyes of Essence. The further he went, the more difficult it was to continue. Just as he was about to see through the gates completely, a golden flash suddenly appeared and blinded him. Huh! Wang Ting frowned. A hint of astonishment appeared in his heart. His Eyes of Essence had been upgraded to the intermediate stage and could even see through the essence of spiritual contracts. But now, he couldn't look past the gates. Was there something strange about them? Should I upgrade it? Wang Ting was hesitant. He had spent a full 10,000 blank attribute points upgrading the Eyes of Essence from the beginner stage to the intermediate stage previously. To take it to the next level, it would cost him 10 times more. That was 100,000 points. 100,000 points. Wang Teng's vision went dark, and he almost fainted. He spent so long saving up more than 300,000 blank attributes. They were from the Star Beast riot and the battle in the central continent. He could only collect so many blank attributes when large numbers of Star Beasts died. Otherwise, he didn't know how he could save over 300,000 blank attributes. And now, he was going to spend 100,000 points like this. His heart was bleeding. Wang Ting took a deep breath and finally decided to spend the blank attributes on the Eyes of Essence. There wouldn't be any gains without losses. The more imperceptible the gates were, the more it meant that there was something special in them. Spending 100,000 blank attributes was akin to buying insurance. It was best to be prudent. In an instant, 100,000 blank attribute points were cleared, and there was a change in Eyes of Essence. It had upgraded to the advanced stage. Eyes of Essence, 1,000, advanced stage. At this moment, Wang Ting was full of self-confidence. He felt that he had the eyes of a hawk. A bright light flashed across his eyes, and he looked at the gates again. Now, the gate seemed like tofu. His gaze penetrated it easily, and even the golden flash couldn't stop him. It's the power of runes. Wang Ting got a surprise as he saw through the essence of the golden flash. He could finally see the situation behind the gates. It was actually a spacious command room surrounded by various instruments. However, they were all desolate. It had been years since they were last used. The astonishing thing was, the command room was spotless and immaculate. Are these remains of a huge spacecraft? Wang Ting almost scared himself with his own conjecture. The remains covered the entire central continent. If it was a spacecraft, how huge would it be? Wang Ting shook his head and continued to scan the command room. Suddenly, his pupils shrank abruptly. What did he see? There were people. Wang Ting was bewildered. There were people behind the gates. No, that's not right. He couldn't detect any life in them. They were already dead. Wang Ting looked at the bodies and found no aura of life. All 6 bodies were dead. These were corpses. He finally heaved a sigh of relief. The remains had been here for a long time. If there were still living beings inside, it would have been absurd. Wang Teng finally had the mood to study the bodies after calming down. He didn't know how long the bodies had been dead, but they maintained their appearance. Otherwise, Wang Teng wouldn't have mistaken them for living people. 3 of the corpses looked like regular humans, but they had different hair colors and were wearing damaged battle armor. There were several fatal scars, without any signs of decay at all. He could even see a trace of red blood. As for the other 3 corpses, one was fully clad in scales and looked like a lizard. It even had a horn and a long tail covered in scales. Lizard. Wang Teng was curious. He had seen enough aliens, including one with tentacles like haddock. A lizard wasn't something he couldn't accept. Speaking of haddock, Wang Teng was wondering where he and that fatty had gone. When fighting against the dark apparitions, they lured a devil lord away and hadn't appeared since the continent collapsed. Wang Teng wasn't worried about their safety. They were cunning and wouldn't die so easily. The second corpse had a dark blue body with snake-like skin. Its arms were like scythes and were flashing with a cold metallic light. It was leaning to its side, and its chest had collapsed in with 3 clear and large fist marks. The last corpse was the most intact. He was sitting on the seat at the center of the command room, with his hands clasped under his chin. He was looking at the screen in front of him as if he was deep in thought. And the appearance of the corpse was very peculiar. He was huge and was more than 6 meters tall. His muscles were bulging and seemed to be full of strength. He had a huge head, and there were several tentacle-like organs growing on his chin. The most bizarre thing was that there was a vertical eye on his bald forehead. Wang Teng inadvertently looked into the eye and felt a creepy feeling in his heart. He trembled all over, and his back was immediately soaked with cold sweat. Frightening. Extremely terrifying. Wang Teng took a breath of cold air. He couldn't calm down for a long time. He actually felt an uncontrollable fear, which was unbelievable. It was an overbearing pressure from a greater life form. No matter how strong his will was, there was no use. What level of power is this? Wang Teng forced himself to calm down and averted his eyes quickly, muttering to himself. It was really unimaginable that a corpse could exude such pressure. If he was alive, how horrifying would he be? Chapter 844, A Million Years. Wang Teng calmed down and observed the last corpse carefully. There are no wounds on this body. How did he die? After watching for some time, Wang Teng noticed something strange. He was puzzled. He activated his eyes of essence and looked at the body, hoping to find the reason for his death at the microscopic level. He scanned the inside of the corpse but didn't discover anything. When he reached the neck, he hesitated. He would have to face the eyes if he moved further up. Wang Teng was in a dilemma. In the end, he gritted his teeth and moved up. The pressure given off by this corpse was frightening, but it was still a corpse. He mustn't be a coward. Boom. When Wang Teng saw the vertical eye, his mind trembled. He felt an immense pressure dawning on him. His face turned white, and large drops of cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Spiritual power tossed and turned involuntarily in his consciousness, churning as it tried to resist the pressure. Sigh. Wang Teng let out a huge sigh. Fortunately, the planetary realm spirit was powerful, so he was barely able to withstand the pressure. This was only the residual pressure. If this formidable warrior released his entire force of presence on him when he was alive, Wang Teng wouldn't be able to resist it. After blocking the pressure, Wang Teng finally had the time to observe the brain. He didn't expect to see a faint ball of soul glowing through his eyes of essence. He was stunned. His spirit hasn't disappeared completely. This was mind-boggling. Biluo noticed Wang Teng's strange expression and asked, "What's the matter?" Her voice pulled Wang Teng back to reality. He shook his head and replied, "I'm fine." Biluo stared at him in confusion. She didn't believe him. Wang Teng's face was white, and his forehead was filled with perspiration. He even gave a look of disbelief. How could he be all right? But she couldn't probe further if he didn't want to speak. "Be careful when you go in later," Wang Teng spoke to her using voice transmission. Biluo's eyes shimmered. She stared at Wang Ting in surprise. He did know something. Crack. Wang Teng looked away and walked forward. He pushed the huge golden door open. The thick and heavy door opened gradually under Wang Ting's huge strength. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw Wang Ting using brute force to open the door. They were still thinking about how to open it. So simple. Kathu looked at Wang Teng and asked, "What do you think?" Wang Ting threw the question back. F***K. Kathu cursed instantly. The others were speechless too. They felt stupid in front of Wang Ting. Smart people like to think too much, so this simple solution didn't occur to them. They kept lingering around the door, searching for a way to open it. They even took out the crystal skulls to see how they could help. In the end, all it needed was a simple push. They felt as if someone gave them a tight slap on their faces. It hurt so much. "Why are you standing there? Are you not entering?" Wang Teng turned to look at the crowd. Silence. No one replied to him. Argus, Kathu, and the others were staring at the command room with serious expressions. As the door opened, a patch of bright light lit up the command room, illuminating the entire space. They scanned the room and immediately noticed the 6 corpses. Their pupils narrowed, and their expressions turned terrified. "Oh my God! 6 corpses. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks." Gasp. What a frightening gaze. They are so scary. How powerful must they be when they were alive? There was a huge commotion. Someone noticed the intact corpse's eyes and gasped in fear like Wang Teng. His face turned pale, and there was only astonishment left in his heart. None of the talents from outer space were able to escape from the impact of the corpse's pressure. All of them were staggered. Fear crept up to their hearts, and they started trembling. Biluo's face was pale too. She turned to look at Wang Ting with bewilderment in her eyes. Did this fellow know about the corpse already? Wang Ting didn't notice her gaze, but his expression changed slightly. A ray of light suddenly shot out of the single eye of the corpse. Then, the hologram of a figure appeared in mid-air. The figure was exactly the same as the corpse. Everyone was appalled. They instantly turned vigilant. The figure glanced around him and suddenly sighed in a weather-beaten and distant voice. "It has been 1,000,000 years." The figure was speaking in the common universal language. Thus, Wang Ting and the alien candidates understood what he was saying. Their mind went black for a second. 1,000,000 years. What did that mean? Was he saying that he had been around for 1,000,000 years? The alien martial warriors knew that indomitable martial warriors had extremely long lifespans, but they were still at a loss for words when they heard 1,000,000 years. 1,000,000 years. What concept was that? Their lifespan was 1,000 years since they had reached the planetary stage, but currently, they were only around 30 years old. It was almost negligible when you compared it with the long and unimaginable 1,000,000 years. To be able to have a lifespan of more than 1,000,000 years, this figure must be an unbelievably powerful martial warrior. Wang Teng tried his best to calm down, but no matter how much he controlled his emotions, they were still forming waves in his heart. 1,000,000 years. How incredibly long was that? Was an indomitable martial warrior able to survive for so long? At first, Wang Teng didn't have a clear grasp of the different powerful martial warriors in the universe. Now, he understood a bit better. The lifespan was enough to prove everything. A normal person was said to have a long life if he lived for 100 years. But eventually, he would still decompose into a part of the soil. Since ancient times, our ancestors had been lamenting the passing of time. Time flew in the blink of an eye. It was impossible to grab it. The emperors sought the path of longevity. Now, the rich and powerful searched for this path too. However, it was all in vain. Only martial warriors were able to escape the normal route. As long as they continued to become stronger, they could experience a rise in their level of life and possess unimaginably long lifespans. What a huge temptation this was. Wang Teng felt that he couldn't resist it either. The ability to live forever and freely was the ultimate aspiration for everyone. Just when everyone was reeling in astonishment, The figure opened his mouth again. Someone finally came before me after 1,000,000 years. Everyone regained their senses and looked at the figure again. They were on their guard, but they wanted to listen to what he had to say. The figure sized up the martial warriors and nodded. It looks like heaven treats me well. It sent a bunch of talented young people to me just before my soul dispersed. There was too much information in this sentence. Everyone's eyes shimmered as they tried to guess what he meant. Let me introduce myself. I'm a baron from the Great Qian Empire. The figure started introducing his background. The instant he started speaking, he was interrupted by Argus' surprised exclamation. Great Qian Empire. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,